Here's some pre-show banter before the start of Bears 100 Proof. And as always, Bears 100 Proof contains adult language.
Okay.
Have you been on Twitter at all tonight?
No.
You see, go to Andrew Link's timeline and look at all the fucking GIFs that he posted from the fucking game. And you tell me this dude's fucking, you're going to piss your pants. He's so fucking clueless. And I mean, he's documenting it all, showing how fucking clueless he is now. It's the fucking best. Go through those, dude. You're going to die laughing. I was damn near sweating.
Who is this guy?
You're fucking cracking up. This is the guy talking shit about Bears Barroom on the side out of his mouth.
He's Windy City.
Andrew Link?
Gridiron.
Never heard of him.
Andrew Link.
He was like, some podcast has a whole show devoted to Cody White.
Yeah. So he works at a website?
Windy City Gridiron.
Yeah, they're all against us over there, Al.
Yeah, he's with Aaron Lemming, Lester.
Oh, okay.
Bears Link 82.
Hey.
The cult of personnel.
They have a pay website now. Those guys.
What?
Yeah, Man Bun, Lemming, Lester. There's like a bunch of them. There's a pay website.
Oh, that's cool.
Pay for what? For a gut feeling?
Phil, go.
Hold on. On Tuesday, I said that this guy might be the sixth starter. On Friday, when we've listened to Bears Barroom, we've changed our pick. Fuck out of here.
Hey, so how much do they pay us to visit their website?
Well done. Well played.
But Phil, you got to go check out Andrew Link's timeline. You're going to fucking die laughing, man. It's so
what is it? He's sharing this tonight, or you just went back?
No. He's been doing it. He was doing all 22 from Game Pass, and you know that where you can make the GIFs or GIFs out of it on certain place. He's doing that, and he's trying to explain what they're doing, and it is so epically fucking wrong. I mean,
really,
like Matthew Balsley territory.
Well, and this guy is a writer because boy, he
thinks he knows fucking everything. He's a cocky fuck.
Oh, someone who invited him on our show.
Yeah, somebody tagged me and you and said, "I'd love to see you guys bounce some football up." Shane and Phil, I didn't even fucking respond to him.
Oh my god! I'm like, please fucking come on the show. We should have like a mediator and have them ask football trivia, like we did with Jeopardy.
Yeah.
Windy City versus the fucking Barroom.
That would be funny.
That would be fucking epic. So on a counterplay, and you're facing an even front, what does the left tackle do if you're running counter to the left side?
Yeah,
Aaron Lemming would be fucking Googling, not knowing anything. Actually, just play
crickets.
Cricket.
That would be hilarious.
My God.
Aaron Lemming, what is your answer?
Idiots!
All right, 3, 2, 1.
Some may find the following disturbing. Discretion is advised.
What does Aldo's mama say?
Listen to this. I got a message. Khalil Mack. I want you in the sack soon. I love you.
That is what Aldo's mama said.
Why are there so many trolls on Twitter? And why do they multiply? Haters have agendas, no haters, you're losing. But usually they're keyboard tough guys. Bears Barroom told you, open your eyes so to see it. I know the truth, wait you'll see. Someday you'll find us, Bears 100 proof. Aldo, the smartest man in me. All of us under one truth. Bears Barroom expects that you have it. What is loyalty without being loyal? And what does it take to try? So many shows each week, the barroom's always open, like a church for the Bears fan to confide. Aldo has told you, Shane has made you see it. I think you know what I believe. Someday you'll find us, Bears 100 proof. Aldo, the smartest man in me. All of us under one truth. I hope that you find it for you. Yeah, oh yeah, oh. yeah. Nah. A Bears Barroom, they're the ones that fight for truth. Bears are alive or 100 proof, even if the Bears win or lose. A Bears Barroom, they're the ones that fight for truth. Bears are alive or 100 proof, no matter if the Bears win or lose. Yo, first, the smartest man, no tweets, he's never missing. Impossible, the mission, call out frauds with precision. A Bears 100 proof, he faces number one Adora, slaying dumb tweets, cross-eyed like Confora. Never one to back down, to call a fraud a lemon. Wazram, no doubt, Miller's asterisk ending. Cheers, Bears fans. The fire Puerto Rican barkeeping for Chicagoland. He's the godfather, the one, the real producer, always keeping the show together with the voice that will seduce us. Risking out a Firefox, the old timer never stops. IPAs, drafts, malts, crafts, barkeep takes the shots.
No deny.
Barflies appreciated worldwide. Canada, Scotland, England, Brazil, Mexico, and Dubai. Dr. Phil is the guy, the one to realize that the barroom needed a show with an endless shoot supply. Go big coat fought the narrative on color, brought the Jasons of campaign for Mitchell. Now I'm the standing up for the truth. You know your boy's a little guy. These media heads won't give us credits up to the barflies. Flies. Fuck a fraud in his keyboard, Twitter tough guys surround us, raining truth on the Bears worldwide. Barflies astound us. This is the number one pod, that's the reality of the truth. And if you don't know us by now, Bears 100 proof. A Bears Barroom, they're the ones that fight for truth. Bears are alive or 100 proof, even if the Bears win or lose.
How do we handle ourselves? Do we just feel satisfied now that we won? My job is to make sure that that's not the case, because no one in this room should be satisfied that we won. We need more, and we need to be able to continue to get better as a team. The wins and losses will handle themselves, but record-wise, I'm not too worried about that. Just worried about, stacking the wins and making sure that we don't get complacent or satisfied in the fact that we did win one game, which means nothing.
Cheers, Bears fans! This is Bears 100 Proof, and you just heard Matt Nagy talking about complacency. There's no room for it at Hallis Hall, and he is going to make sure of that. My name is Aldo Gandia. I serve the drinks here, but don't you worry, the stars of our show are here. They are, of course, Shane, the smartest man in the barroom, Marsaw, and Draft Dr. Fullertoshan. A little later in the show, Patrick Finley will join us. He covers the Chicago Bears for the Chicago Sun-Times. And we're going to have our features, Bear Up, Bear Down, Tweets of the Week, and what else we got in store? I think that's it. But we're going to talk a lot of football, and we're going to do it with these two gentlemen. Guys, how are you? Starting with Shano.
Well, I just got to find out after all the hoopla from Bert and Ernie yesterday, Phil, is Kermit gay?
I don't think so. He always was running from a pig, though. So I don't know what that means. But
I'm not talking about Balsley. I'm talking about Kermit.
My God.
Sometimes it hurts, Matt. Sometimes it hurts.
Hurts so good. Come on, Matty, make it hurt so good.
Phil, how you doing? Hey, congratulations on the opening song that you did. What's the title of that song? We want to put it up in the jukebox.
Under One Truth.
Under One Truth. I love that title, and what a beautiful song, man. That we need to publish the lyrics to that song.
I will type them up. Because BG gets pissed when I take a picture of my lyrics or something that she has to type. Well, I will type them up and I will email them or Slack them to you, boss.
Yeah, so we can put it up on the new website page that we house all of Draft Dr. Phil's material at bearsbarroom.com. Right now we've got his 3 latest things, and tomorrow morning we'll have his new The Tape Never Lies. What's that one about, Phil?
Well, because clearly the temperature of the Chicago Bears right now is blazing hot with number 52 and number 10. And for different reasons. So I wanted to put 10 under the microscope, give you a few good plays and things to build on, because after watching the All-22 and seeing the coach's tape, you come away and you see some things that you didn't feel in the game. So I wanted to bring those things to attention the way I do at Bears Barroom, because the tape never lies. That's where I'm going to be focusing on Mitchell Trubisky, a few good plays and a few bad plays, I should say.
Cool. Well, let's get into football talk right away here, because we've got a lot to cover, and I've got some sound from the recent press conferences. Today, the night we're recording is Thursday night. Earlier today, Thursday, the coordinators met with the media, and Mitch Trubisky met with the media on Wednesday. And he was asked about that one pass play to Taylor Gabriel. And
that's in the Bears Barroom Tape Never Lies video, Aldo.
Excellent. Well, yeah, it's a huge play, because the first series, the Bears do their 15-play scripted drive. It's a 90-plus yard drive. They look impressive. Some big third-down plays to keep moving the ball. And then to open that second series, the play well, we're not actually sure if that was the play call, because Nagy or Helfrich says something in the press conference that makes it seem like that may have been his second read. But let's listen to what Mitch Trubisky said about that particular play and why the ball sailed on him. Anytime.
Yeah, I think I just got a little too excited and didn't trust my timing, so the ball came out a little sooner than it should have been if I just stayed on my time with my footwork, and it kind of happened a little bit on the first interception as well, just rushing my throws a little bit or doing a little too much with my eyes. But that happens when you have great players on the other side of the ball that you just don't want them to get a key on where you're going with it, so I just got to continue to trust my timing and get the ball to the playmakers like I know how and like I've done in practice all week. So we're going to continue to trust that and just continue to get the ball to the playmakers to allow them to make more explosive plays, because we need more explosive plays within this offense. That's been an emphasis for us after studying the first 2 games. We're doing a great job moving the ball well, but we definitely want more explosive plays, and that's just me playing within the timing of this offense and getting to the guys that are open.
Phil, I saw you shaking your head during that segment. Why were you doing that?
Well, I just think I don't like the fact that there's any, I don't know if it's Helfrich or Nagy. It's probably Helfrich, because I listened to the Nagy presser. I thought all of it. Maybe I missed something with this read clause that, because last week, well, the last, viral video they talked about on the broadcast on Monday night. I don't know if you heard it, Aldo, if you muted it. Well, what's his name? The tight end from the Dallas Cowboys.
Jason Witten.
What's his name? Thank you, Witten. Jason Witten's breaking it down, and he's giggling because he knows as a tight end, you fucking throw that in there. You're an NFL quarterback. You throw it. Your head's there. You got to trust it. And he's going on a negative rant. Then they come back from commercial or something and still talking about that play. And then he's on the other side of it talking to Coach Nagy. That was actually his fourth read. In what offense is that his fourth read? That works with fucking Andrew Link breaking it fucking down. But for me, as I broke it down for you, it's fucking his second read. It's like you don't read Braille wrong, right? If you're blind. So I'm not blind with football. I'm telling you, it was a rub route to get Cohen and be his initial read. If the rub isn't there with Cohen in the flat, you turn and you do exactly what he did. He checks his number 2, that tight end running that little drag. He's wide open. He doesn't throw it. We don't know why. Panicked, afraid, whatever. But that was wrong. The coach comes out, yeah, he missed it. Then you learn, protecting his ass. If this is another second read, because I'm going to break it down, it's pretty easy. I absolutely love this play call to Taylor Gabriel because Shane and I have been begging to attack middle seams and get these people off coverage and start worrying and open up your run game like you wouldn't believe. So Gabriel crosses all the way across the field and is pressuring the safety. Robinson is running a fade. It's a trips right. Robinson's a lone receiver on the left. Just by the personnel matchup alone and the coverage, I'm like, this is like taking candy from a baby, legitimately. If protection holds, on 3 steps, boom, that's wide open. And it is so wide open, he's got to hit it. And everything he said, he wasn't being completely honest. He actually was honest about rushing because it's very evident that if he gives plays a little bit more time, Aldo, to develop, so he's being truthful there. But in this play with Gabriel, he steps to his left, and it's like a short step. Like he doesn't want to step forward, and the pocket is clean. There's actually a rush to his right, and that would be fine. Just step up and deliver the fucking ball. He can anticipate it. It's an accurate throw. He just doesn't put the right touch on it. And it's frustrating to watch because you don't get many of those, and he's had a couple, including in this game. He had 2 of those where they're touchdowns. Those are touchdowns or giant chunks. Definitely the Robinson play would have been a touchdown. The Taylor Gabriel, the safety's way back in cover, and they're playing zone with a man look on Robinson, and the safety's way back there. The linebacker has no chance with Gabriel. It's the easiest read you could probably. It would be your first read based on the coverage and the formation. So I don't want to hear any of those excuses about. That's why I was really shaking my head. And he's right. Please calm the frig down and let it develop. Trust your offensive line. They actually were playing pretty well, and especially in the pass game. The run game, that's a different story, but the pass game, they were playing well. It's unfortunate.
What are your thoughts on that particular play? And then when you're finished, I want to play a little bit of Mark Helfrich referring to that play and the need for big plays in this offense. Go ahead, Shane.
Phil broke it down on field really well, but I think this goes beyond that with Mitch. I think you've heard Helfrich and Nagy and even Ryan Pace refer to him as a perfectionist. I mean, somebody made a comment that the guy vacuums the floors in his house like 4 and 5 times a week. And so I think little things like that transfer over. I think Mitch is stuck in that mode where everything is, when things are scripted, the first 15, Mitch is on point because he's got that there. He's gonna study the hell out of it. He's gonna know everything inside and out. But every little part of the play, Mitch wants to be absolutely perfect. And Phil, Aldo, you know this too. It doesn't work that way in the NFL. So many things change in a fraction of a second. When you're overthinking, you're going to overthrow the wide receiver because you don't want, you know what I mean? It's going to sail more times than not when you're trying to be too perfect because you don't want to put yourself in a position to throw an interception or anything like that. You saw that right there on the Gabriel play. And the thing that bothers me so much with Mitch, and Phil and I have talked about this privately a lot, the kid is so scripted with everything. Even over the summer when people talk to him, what are you doing? Well, leaders read books. So now I'm reading books, because I'm going to be a leader. Don't come out and say that, right, Mitch.
Right.
That's a huge issue to me. You can't force stuff like that. We lived that. Every one of us wanted Cutler to be the leader, to be the face of the franchise. That's just not who Jay was. Mitch can't force these things. You listen to Matt Nagy talk about Mitch, and he's begging him and pleading with him, Mitch, go out there, let it loose, let it rip, have fun. If you throw a pick, I'm not worried about it right now. I want you to go through your progressions, go out there and have fun. But I think Mitch is just so pent up and worried about absolutely everything. It's obviously affecting him on the field, Phil, because, people are talking about, the haters are saying this dude could have had 4 interceptions in the first half easily. Well, you know what? He could have thrown 4 touchdown passes easily. He missed Allen Robinson on that interception when he threw it short. And just like you said, the one to Taylor Gabriel, add those two, that's 4 touchdown passes. And I'm not defending Mitch on that. I'm just saying, and everybody has said, going back and watching it, Phil, the second time, I wasn't anywhere near as down on Mitch as I was watching it live.
Exactly. That's what I was trying to allude to. I don't know if it came out that way.
Even the head coach, I think Matt Nagy did a better job watching it a second and third time than initially. Because, our boy Andrew Link, putting out there that it's... We'll get to the dumb tweets of the week later, but people are putting out there that we should have, won by a lot more. I don't. Hey, I'm never going to say that the Bears should have won a game by 28 points. If they win by 6, I'm gonna take a fucking W however I can get it. I'm not going to say, I'm more pissed off because we won by 6 instead of 13. Whatever, it is what it is. But at the end of the day, I was expecting Mitch to be farther along in all of this. I was expecting Nagy to be farther along in his, play calling and all that. And I think it's just going to take a little bit more time. I think we got to kind of step back because what happened was we had big expectations for this team. Then they traded for Khalil Mack and it set the fucking world on fire. The Bears went from, hey, we could be 8-8, 9-7, and fucking people are talking, we're going to the fucking playoffs. We're going to win the division. We talked about it on the Khalil Mack show right here. Greg Gabriel, Bears are the leaders in the division to win the North. I think we got to pump the brakes on that a little bit. They have the pieces. I don't want to worry people by bringing in Dave.
They could be 2-0. They could be 2-0.
Dave wants
should be 2-0.
Right, but it just goes to show you what we do here by going back and watching the all 22 and watching the game over again. It just shows you how important it is because watching it initially, and Aldo, you were you were unhappy too. You know what I mean? Watching it after the game, we all were. And going back, and it actually settled me down a little bit. I actually saw some growth in Mitch. And I know people don't want to believe that, but I saw the growth.
Yeah. Oh, I put it up there. It's going to be on the tape. There's going to be positives. And there's really showcases that it is. Now, I don't agree with you on the coach. I really don't. I'm not the guy. I believe in running the football. And I think that is the cure-all. I don't know why it's so much passing. Like, we're up 20-3, whatever it was,
Bill,
17.
I think it's because of what we talked about. That's why we were harping on preseason reps.
Yeah, I definitely like your Shane, your example earlier, I forget how you worded it, reminded me, like, there's some parents, I think Brett Maley, friend of the show, put it out there. His fucking dad threw him in the pool to learn how to swim. Yeah. Some parents will give, the kid went through driver school, here's the fucking keys to the Maserati. Me, I'm like, fuck you ain't driving that shit yet. You fucking gotta prove to me that we're in fucking empty set, up 17-3, throwing the ball again. Like, that don't football sense, it doesn't make. What Shane said, it totally really puts an award on it, because I think Nagy is like, in his ear, I don't remember what announcer, I would love to credit them, mentioned after the touchdown pass to Anthony Miller, there was an emotional gathering of Mitch Trubisky and Matt Nagy. And Matt Nagy, I can only assume what he was saying, but if he's anything like I think he is to Shane's point. You see how much I believe in you. You know how much I love you. You feel what you just did there? That was a great fucking throw. This is what you do. And you get to the core of that person. Shane and I have talked many a night, been on this show for 4 years, talking about the direction, needing dogs, needing this, needing a young quarterback. The reps and the bloggers and all these fucking bullshitters out there running narratives. Football is a mental sport first and foremost. There's something mentally. It could be the OCD. It could be the pressure of having to not be Jay Cutler. No one ever talks about that, but this is a fucking $1 billion franchise.
2.75 billion, according to Forbes today.
There you go. 2.7. Breaking news.
Really?
Hi, this is Bears. 2.75 million, Phil.
Billion.
2.75 billion. I feel like, what's his name? The guy. We need that drop there. One.
Dr. Evil.
Dr. Evil.
Well,
of course.
The franchise will be worth a lot more when Mitch eventually.
Oh, my God.
I'm going to be positive. When Mitch eventually starts to performing to his capabilities. Now, you guys have said a lot of things that were actually touched on during press conferences, so I'm going to change the order here. This is what Matt Nagy said about Mitch Trubisky, and I think it button hooks perfectly with what you were just saying, Phil, about Nagy and Trubisky hugging and talking to one another. This was it's about Trubisky needing confidence, and I think this is what Nagy is alluding to here.
For him, all I care about is just sustained drives, minus, get rid of the 3 and outs. The ball security, we stress that. But I understand that, there's some really good quarterbacks in this league that turn the ball over. They're not trying to turn it over, but they do. And so you got to recover from that. He grew, next play mentality. We grew from that, sustain that, keep that going. Now, don't just make it a one-game shot.
That is so important, because I think what he's alluding to there is John Fox and Donald Loggins fucked this kid up. because
Fox I think it's a great point, Aldo.
Fox was trying so desperately to win his job, and he knew that a rookie quarterback wasn't going to help him keep his job, so he drilled into Fox and Loggins, don't do anything risky. Got to protect the football and so forth. And so poor Mitch went from a very confident quarterback in the beginning of the season last year in preseason. You know, the best he's ever looked was in the preseason games last season before Fox fucked him up. And then as the season went on and he becomes the starter and he throws that interception against the Vikings in his first start on a Monday night game, all of a sudden things start to go downhill for this kid because Fox and Loggins just hypnotized this guy into being such a conservative nerd. And now Nagy is trying to bust him out of that. That's how I read the situation.
I totally agree. Phil, you and I talked about this, and I said we can sit here and bitch about Nagy. We can sit here and complain about Mitch Trubisky until we're blue in the face. You're 100% right, Aldo. This all goes back to the Chicago Bears upper management.
Go ahead, say it.
The owner not launching John Fox when we've heard them say that Mitch, they had him earmarked since November of 2016 because they got him in the 17 draft. That's when they were focusing in on him. It was way back then. When they decided then, they knew early that they were going after Mitch. They should have launched Fox's ass. Yep. That's the biggest detriment to this whole fucking process.
Right.
And you're seeing it play out in front of your eyes right now.
It's the truth.
It's a strike against Ryan Pace. It's a strike against George McCaskey, Ted Phillips, all of those guys, because your most important fucking player you put behind the 8 ball immediately, and it makes no sense at all.
Has anybody in the audience had a teacher that just wasn't a good teacher for their kid or themselves growing up, and it caused trauma in your life because, you know, I know millennials today, God, teachers couldn't do what they did to us guys, especially Aldo.
It's ridiculous.
But the same thing, the coach is a teacher, and a good coach, and
somebody knocked Phil out. It looked like
earthquake. It's an earthquake. Are you okay, Phil?
Fucking cat. The cat jumps on the fucking wire and making a great point.
Baxter came over. He's fucking throwing blueberries at him.
So anyway, fucking cat's pulling the wire down. I don't know what.
Just to tell our audience real quick, we can see each other on Skype, and then all of a sudden Phil is in the middle of this important point, and his camera just goes haywire. You see the walls and everything.
The mic plug went out. I'm like, what the It's the fucking cat, Walter. I got a cat, Walter, and a female cat named Peyton. Walter Peyton.
Nice.
Anyway, so just thinking about a coach being a teacher, a good coach, you know, here's now a coach having to be a therapist and a good teacher. And that's what's going on. Now, my path to handling Mitch would totally be the other way and building his confidence with performance and getting him, you know, in good situations to throw the football. Not that he hasn't. You keep throwing the ball. We're going to get you out of these poor things, and we're going to coach you up. That it goes against what Shane and all of us were arguing, not playing that live scrimmage for 3 quarters and learning from there. Think about, people could say whatever the fuck they want, but I'll tell you, going into that Green Bay game Sunday night from national television, it was a wrong move to prepare this kid in what he needed to do. And as Shane has pointed out, you've pointed out, Aldo, Mark Schofield came on here on Bears Hour Live. Emery Hunt came on, and they all talked about the similar things. There's a mental processing issue. And Aldo, your point is perfectly executed, because if you've gotten it drilled by your teacher, you do it a certain way, or your parent, And then someone is trying, no, you actually don't have to eat that food anymore. There's actually good food. It's a whole new world, and some people can't. It's like being held captive, and they, that disease where they fall for them.
We all have kids. When was the last time you were teaching your child anything and you told them to do less of something to get better at it?
Exactly.
Let's just break it down and be simple. It's just tying their shoes or learning to read. You don't need to pick that book up. You go play video games. You'll figure it out in time.
Yeah, exactly. Don't
practice. Put that book
read
down.
Out loud tomorrow. We're gonna have show and tell.
People out there say, I'd rather lose with them in the regular season than lose them in the preseason and lose. Well, it's the same fucking thing. You're gonna bitch about them.
It just makes no fucking sense. I mean, it's just bullshit.
Exactly.
Oh my. Fucking Bill Nye is even pissed off. Science guy. Yeah,
no, but I think with Mitch there was signs, Aldo, that muscle memory is real, and confidence is real, and a whole new. I mean, we had what was
he gets that one-on-one with Allen Robinson again, with no safety help. He's not going to underthrow that.
He's not going to underthrow it. That's what we have to watch.
Yep.
Because my belief, Shane. And Al, my boy, Aldo, the barkeep.
You're my boy, Blue.
That's right. This guy is a fucking competitor. He doesn't want to make that mistake ever again. So sure, he's going to be. But that's what we got to see. Because if he continues to improve like we think he will, we'll see it and point it out here for what it is, and always it's worse. I know a lot of barflies and followers of the show are getting upset because we're talking the truth. I'm not going to fucking sell you a fucking line of bullshit. If I said to Adam Rank, I go, once you had Junior's cheesecake down in Brooklyn, New York, then all other cheesecakes are compared to that. So once we've seen what good quarterback play is and our expectation of it, then you expect it. And that's what we have to see with him moving forward. We're not going to just, okay, that's good for the Bears. No. You want the best. You want this kid growing and maturing and being confident. His footwork and his confidence have to improve.
I want to switch the conversation now. We could talk about Mitch for another 2 hours and really come up with new ways to look at this. I mean, the topic is fascinating and it deserves hours of discussion, but I want to move things along. One of the things that Phil brought up a little earlier was the whole running the ball thing. Well, John Moon Mullen of NBC Sports Chicago asked Mark Helfrich a really good question regarding Jordan Howard. Listen to the question and listen to Helfrich's response.
How much do you, if at all, do you factor in a player's skill set, if you want to call it that? Like someone like Jordan, so you have a 230-pound back who may get stronger as the game goes on. It needs to get worked up early on. Does that enter into your game planning, or does it have to just be situational? You can't really fold those kind of things, and you need them obviously to be good all the time.
Right, it's all those things. Bad answer, I know, but yeah, it's you look at the whatever the thunder and lightning combinations of everybody's had in the past, and you need a little bit of both, and whether it's you start with one and go to the other, or vice versa, is probably situational. The body blow of that wears on people. The quick strike of the other way can, get you started, and then you come back to the body blow. So there's different ways to employ that.
Phil, what do you think?
I think you got to start fucking body blowing. Simple as that. I'm telling you right now. I think you guys get my tone and what I believe. You win games. The quarterback will get better. The running game is going to open everything. It already does. And I think there are coaching errors that I could point out in challenging situations and down and distance that need to improve. And I was impressed with the press with Nagy today because they asked him about, are you self-scouting? This is something I tweeted out during the game. They need to be because you're throwing the ball all over the place in weird situations. I get you want to throw off your opponent, but the NFL catches up, and the talent really rises to the occasion no matter what the situation. No one's getting fooled 3 weeks into the season, 4 weeks into the season. Yes, they always will step. And how many times did Brett Favre run the fucking fullback into the flat with the tight end dragging, and he had his choice of which one to throw to in a short. We see some things will never change in football. They just happen. And the running game is so essential to this kid being who I think he will be. But ultimately, this team has a chance to be something special. And I know we're going to get into that tonight.
We don't want to talk about stats. We hate that when that happens. But if you break down the drives where Mitch has been successful, they've been drives that have had a heavy dose of the run game. Not always with Jordan Howard. You saw it with Taylor Gabriel on that. It's been a part of the philosophy, and I mean it's bread and butter football. It's keep it simple, stupid. You don't need a mad genius in here to figure that out. It's very, very simple to do, and we've heard about for 2 years now. This is Howard's third year about how effective he is. That's the part. I'm not saying you have to go out there and battering ram 40, 35 carries a game. Like you said, it's more important that it's situational. We saw the 3rd and 1. The Bears got to the 50-yard line. I tweeted out immediately, you're in 2-down territory right now. You're at the 50. You have Jordan Howard 3rd and 1 2 times. And it's little simple things like that you want to see Nagy kind of not forget about Mitch, but just brush him to the side those downs and let somebody else help the product move forward. It doesn't always have to be Mitch.
Here's what, though, we have to take into account, whether we like it or not, is that the league is transforming itself into a really heavy-duty passing league. Chase Stewart, Football Perspective, Chase is a noted mathematician, analyst of football. He said that on this past Sunday, there was a record number of pass attempts and completions in NFL history for any Sunday of games. There were 28, what was it, 28? There were 28 teams playing on Sunday, and the group completed 711 passes out of 1,006 attempts. That's an astounding 70.7 completion rate. Those passes gained a record 7,884 yards for a remarkable 8 yards per pass attempt, another record. So what I'm trying to get across here is that Nagy is part of this new transition in football, or maybe it's just a fad or a trend that we're seeing head coaches rely more on the pass and using the pass with the bubble screens and wide receiver screens and all this lateral stuff as an extension of the running game. So when the question was asked, does Jordan Howard fit Matt Nagy, his offense, really it should be the other way around. Does Matt Nagy fit Jordan Howard? And the answer is probably no, because Nagy is just part of this trend. I don't know how else to analyze this.
Well, it's kind of playing out that way, right, Aldo? I mean, when you think about it, it really is. I mean, looking at it from the outside like we do, you expect it to be the Jordan Howard show, and Mitch is kind of taking a back seat, and then he's going to, play off of the running game, and it's been exactly the opposite, really. So, yeah, no, I think you're exactly right. And it's going to be very interesting to see moving forward. Jordan Howard's going to be coming up, in a contract year next year. And I believe he signed a 4-year deal.
Right.
So it's going to be interesting to see how that does play out, because if I was a betting man right now, I'm not dropping down much money betting saying that they're going to invest financially in Jordan Howard.
He's not going to get the kind of contract that the top backs in the league are getting, that's for sure. And he is probably worth a top 5 running back type contract, given the numbers he's put, given the fact that he's improving his pass receiving, so he's becoming a 3-down back. This is going to be really interesting in the future. Right now, my biggest concern is signing Adrian Amos, but that's a different story.
Yeah. Seattle would kill for Jordan Howard right now.
Oh my gosh!
Kill for him.
Yes. There are a few teams out there who would pay him the big bucks.
Green Bay,
but I don't think it's right. But I don't think the Bears are going to be on that list. But we'll see. I don't know.
I think they're going to have to be, because when it's all said and done, this guy's going to this weekend, you're going to see Jordan Howard show. I'll put that down. If you don't, there is an issue, because you're.
Do you think that they're going to be? I mean, I went back and watched. I'm not through all of their second game, but Arizona's not that bad against the run.
Mm-hmm.
I think you're going to see. I think this might be the Tariq Cohen show this weekend.
I don't know. I think
incorporating him into the passing game. I mean, like Aldo alluded to, that being an extension of your running game.
Right.
Now I said I could be totally wrong, but it's one of those. It's one of those things, Phil. It's gonna. It plays into what we've seen so far. This is Mitch's train with Nagy, and if he's going to incorporate Tariq Cohen this weekend, to me that just extends the blueprint that we've seen so far. That you're gonna, I think you see a heavy dose of Tariq Cohen incorporated. I mean, running the ball and in the passing game, maybe more so than you see Howard.
I'm sorry to interrupt. Here's what Nagy said about using Tariq Cohen.
Is he being inhibited, your use of him a little bit, because of where you are?
Yeah. So for us, that's part of the figuring out process for me and for our staff right now, is trying to figure out the best ways to get a guy like him with matchups. And so how are teams going to start playing our other players, and how are they going to play him? How do they look at that? So over time, as we build a little bit more of a library of defensive schemes and what we see, whether it's zone, whether it's man, whether it's double team this guy, double team, we don't know those answers right now. There's not enough games. So as that occurs, we will be able to, as a staff, figure out how to use him in other ways. So not that we're not now. I think you can see we're doing some different things with him, but the volume may jump up a little bit possibly.
Interesting. Volume may jump up a little bit. We could see that week 3.
Well, I think I said it on the last Bears Hour Live. You get creative with those 2 backs in the backfield, and you cause a lot of trouble for people. We, Shane, you, myself, talked about it with Dowell Loggins. I would flip out with my emotions and how stupid they were in not using both backs on the football field at the same time. It was like being, completely illiterate, football illiterate. It just didn't make any sense. So we've seen it a few times. I think, if anything, this is the week where your number 1 rusher, elite, you're pounding them with the body blows, as he said, and then you're countering with Tariq in the backfield. You think about all those zone reads and the freeze game. Clearly, things I talked about needed to happen with Mitch are happening now. So I'm happy about that. The execution and the situational stuff is what I am unhappy with. So I'm all for Tariq Cohen being more involved in it. In looking at the film, I think Tariq is upset with himself because there was a couple plays where if he did hit it up inside instead of trying to bounce, and we could say whatever we want, he would have had a bigger play and a bigger opportunity.
Totally agree. All right, we're going to, let's see, 9:06. We were supposed to do tweets by now, but I want to continue to talk more football. So let us go to... I wanted to play this soundbite of Mark Helfrich talking about big plays and the need for this offense to really hit on big plays. I think it was actually Patrick Finley, who's going to be our guest a little while, who asked the question. This was Helfrich's response.
I think, again, kind of in some run game spots, we had some chances for big plays, and certainly there were the glaring ones that everybody could see of, hey, we thought we were going to have a different route, and then Taylor Gabriel popped wide open, and Mitch was kind of in between throws, and that led to a 6-inch miss. The exact same thing happened. You look at Jared Goff against Arizona last week, and he missed a wide open guy in a double move, and so those things happen when quarterbacks you're kind of taught to anticipate things but not predetermine, and that's that fine line that you walk.
Is that Brad Big snoring in the
background? you might want to get that checked out if that's what happens.
Holy shit.
That is hilarious. I had a massage today, and my masseuse, they had irritable bowel syndrome or something because the fucking lady's stomach was just growling throughout the fucking massage. I'm like, please stop it. Go fucking take some Alka-Seltzer or something.
Oh my God.
Anyway, you know what was interesting about the press conference there? And Helfrich said that he was asked about Allen Robinson, and he said, Robinson's definitely improving. He's doing some really good things. But Helfrich always kind of also brings up the negative. And he said that Robinson ran 2 or 3 routes incorrectly, where the depth on the route was not what it was supposed to be, and he termed it as kind of a knucklehead move. That was his word. So, we're getting on Trubisky a lot, and I think deservedly so, because we see that his eyes are coming down. He's anticipating the rush. He's leaving the pocket. All of those things that we've talked about regarding Mitch. But there are also some issues regarding the players around him, the specialty players, who are still not performing at a 100% level. Receivers like Allen Robinson, a veteran, and like rookie Anthony Miller are not still doing things at the level that the coaching staff expects. So that's something to account for.
I think Kevin Wright, exactly. But I think Nagy alluded to it with Trey Burton also. I think he specifically brought him up and was talking about him not getting depth on a couple of routes also. So, I mean, that's one of your big, acquisitions this offseason.
Reps.
Reps. That we expected to, be a focal point of this offense. And other than a shovel pass, we haven't seen a whole lot of the guy, in Trey Burton. So
6-yard hitch.
Yeah. So
I think this offense really misses Adam Shaheen. I know people will hate on that.
But it does. But that shows you how bad Deion Sims is, Phil.
Exactly. I thought Deion would come out here, fired the fuck up to prove doubters wrong. Because he has so much athleticism, that guy. He's very underrated. We've seen him make play. Think of the Baltimore Ravens game, that touchdown. You can't say he can't.
Can you think of another play that he made as a Bear that sticks out?
No. Actually, I can. He ran a little flag route. He ran over 2 guys, showed a good play. But then you saw that fucking play against Green Bay. I mean, all he has to do is dart and chase and lower pads for the first down. Every fucking drive is The goal has to be to continue the drive. With this team, Shane, not to get off the tight end and that, it's really been like they're just rolling the dice. They don't give a fuck. 3rd and 3, let's fucking throw it again. And it's driving me. And it's not just like the first 3rd and 3, we're going to trick you, we're going to throw. The next 3rd and 3, we're going to, try to run or draw or something. No, fucking throw the second one. The 3rd and 3, we're going to throw. 3rd and 1, we're going to fucking throw. And it's really been, for me, Aldo, I'm fucking, like, my stomach is in fucking knots watching this. Like, holy fuck. You're fucking going wildcat here in this critical down. Like, and they got it. They did. One thing on that play, Tariq Cohen, just for a little guy, I got to put that up.
Yeah.
He fucking puts his face. You want to fucking coach Mike Burton how to fucking block? Mm-hmm. Watch the 5'6", 178 pounder put his fucking chest cavity, his fucking face, and everything into this block. Mm-hmm. This is what you say. Whatever you want. You can agree with me or Emery Hunt, who was on. He mentioned something really fucking important. He talked about Khalil Mack, and there's a guy gets paid, and does he give a fuck? He loves the money. Yeah, he gives. We talked about it with Julius Pepper, Shane. You could tell when Julius wanted to play and when he didn't. Mack is like fucking hair on fire, right? That right there, that effort needs to be consistent across the board on your football team. And if it's not, that's the issue I have. With Tariq Cohen, it is. He's got that passion. With someone like Mike Burton, is he trying? Is Deion Sims trying, Shane, to be great? To me, the answer is no. Because he God gave him so much talent. He's just, what was that? Kellen Davis. Fucking God created him to be a fucking tight end.
Right. I don't think you lose anything. I mean, Daniel Brown's probably not 100%, but honestly, at this point, I'm not sure if you lose anything by putting Broniker out there.
Yeah, exactly.
Over Deion Sims and taking your lumps with a young guy.
I got to agree. I'm shocked by it, but the measure and moral character, as my point was with Emery, with these guys that want it, those are the guys you want to find. And you're right. Maybe a young kid like Broniker. I was fucking praying that Daniel Brown would get into the game, to be honest. I'm like, could we get Daniel Brown some weapon to attack that seam?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was weird. And, he was activated. Expected him to see some more snaps, but I don't know if they wouldn't have activated him if that shoulder was still an issue. But nonetheless, I want to spend the next 15 minutes before we get Patrick Finley on the line here talking about the defense. I wrote an article for BearsBarroom.com about the potential of this defense to be a historically awesome defense. And so, Shane, I want to get your viewpoint on that theory, given that we have now a front seven that I think measures with any front seven in the National Football League, and given the potential of the Adrian Amos, Eddie Jackson safety duel, which I think could be a top 5, top 7 tandem in the NFL by mid-season or later or earlier, whatever. And given the fact that we have two veterans at the cornerback position, I know that their play sometimes is inconsistent. Kyle Fuller drops passes, interceptions, and Prince Amukamara can sometimes make you want to throw the remote at your TV, and then other times he comes up with a game-clinching interception. But given the players and given Vic Fangio's scheme and given the chemistry of this defense, do you agree with me that this could be a defense for the ages?
Could be, yeah, absolutely. It's not going to be until they find a secondary rusher that's going to be consistent. That's what's going to put them over the top. That's where it's going to be critical for Leonard Floyd to finally break out and show something. They're talking about him having the club removed, and that's going to be a big deal for this kid because you're not going to take that next step as a defense until you get the secondary guy. What did you see with Philly last year? They were just coming at you in waves. They would throw, Brandon Graham would come in, then Vinny Curry, and then the next guy, and then Fletcher Cox inside. It's just one guy after another. And hey, everybody was questioning Aaron Lynch. None of us saw him play. We didn't know what he was doing other than him being hurt. Everybody loves the guy right now because he made a couple plays the other night. He's playing with emotion. He got to the quarterback. He's playing with some of that dog. He's got that fuck you. I'm going to sack you, and then I'm going to fucking tell you and your mother about it. And then I'm going to go wave to the camera. That's one of the building blocks that you need to this defense. You have to get after the quarterback, obviously, but they have to have that I don't give a fuck attitude where no situation is going to be too big for them. If they're on the road in New England, they don't give a fuck that Tom Brady's there. We're coming for you, Tom. You saw Philly make that step where they just didn't give a fuck. Jim Schwartz instilled that into him. And I think I saw Vic Fangio take a step this past week, calling a defense. He is blitzing more this year. But he's got that freedom because he's content with his guys on the outside and with his guys in the back, like you're talking about Amos and Jackson. But he's got that fucking golden child and Khalil Mack he's the whole fucking thing. You have him coming off the fucking edge. You saw it on that goal line play. He was screaming around that fucking corner. Russell Wilson went up into the fucking pocket, and Eddie Goldman was 6 fucking inches from getting a safety on that. And that's what it's all about. But it's going to be that other side that's going to take this defense to the next level. And it's going to all be all about confidence. And this is where it's critical this weekend. You are facing immobile quarterbacks this weekend. And you want these guys to feast off of it.
Immobile. They're like fucking Aldo's grandmother has more speed down the fucking senior hallway.
Yeah, no, it's true. But you know what's different with this team, guys, that we haven't seen, and we didn't see this back in the glory days of Urlacher and Briggs. If those guys went down, you lost Brian Urlacher, the fucking defense was, mediocre for the rest of the year. This team has some depth. Nick Kwiatkowski, Phil, you put it perfectly on BHL with Danny Trevathan and them, saying that Danny finally fucking felt comfortable, that he didn't have to cover for Kwiatkowski because he had another guy over there that he felt confident in that was going to do his job and do it at a superior level. But the Bears have some fucking depth there now. We haven't even seen Iggy yet.
Yep.
A guy that's loaded with athleticism. They called up Kevin Tolliver. They called him up for maybe they'll sit him down this weekend. Who knows? But all these guys, Roy Robertson Harris, that kid's taking a step. Jonathan Bullard.
Jonathan's got a fire under his ass.
Played his best game as a fucking professional.
I said that last night.
Yeah.
On BHL. Thanks for quoting me.
Yeah, we talked about it. I think we talked about it that next morning. I said, Phil, what'd you think of Jonathan Bullard? We talked about it on that Tuesday morning.
I talk to you so much. I feel shit. My wife's jealous. Can I just say something?
Please, I was going to ask you for your thoughts on the defense. Yeah.
I'm sorry.
No.
I cut you off. I apologize.
Don't worry about it, bro.
Shane and both of you, I think the corner play, as people have gone after Fuller has been such a way that Vic can be confident in sending that nickel. And that little shit, Bryce fucking Callahan, he has a different energy about him. And it all goes to number 52. Because when you get a superstar athlete on a defense at a position that on any given play can change the course and direction of the entire football game. Every offensive coordinator the Bears face from here to the end of the season are all focused on 52. Now, what does that do? Because who is the best player on defense? Akeem Hicks. Now, Akeem, any kind of, Akeem, he's been on the show. You know his personality. He's a fucking competitor. He wants to win. Anybody questioning him about whether or not he wants to win, the only time I've ever questioned the guy is he's out there too much to get a rest so he could be fresh. That's it. He wants to be better. What does Khalil do? Fucking Akeem Hicks is fucking playing phenomenal. Eddie Goldman just got paid. He's fucking playing phenomenal. They're rising and believing in themselves. The confidence of the team and the communication. There's nobody on the fucking injury report, Shane. Why? You think they're bumped and they're bruised? Hell fucking yeah, they are. They want to fucking go out there and play with Khalil. They want to be with fucking Khalil. And Khalil Mack, I've never been so fucking excited in my life than I was the day we obtained him. I was shaking with excitement, and you could hear, I think I could be a fucking tenor if I sang a song that day, which I can't never do. But my wildest dreams, Shane, I'm going to say this, and I mean it, and obviously we're 2 games in. That guy had fucking, 8 days, 10 days to get prepared for Green Bay. This guy is so good on both areas of the football. Stopping the run and getting after the pass. It's freakish. But I think he's better, Aldo. Here, I'm going to pause because this fucking dog digging holes. I don't know what the fuck you're doing. Just lay down.
Yeah, you got dogs and cats?
Oh, my God. I got 1 dog, a black lab, and 2 cats.
What's the dog's name? Matsuhi?
That would have been good. No, Shy for Chi-Town.
Oh, cool.
So anyway, I wanted to say this that I was just saying until the dog. Khalil Mack leaving the Raiders. You saw a great player there. I believe, honestly, he's better. Not only in the scheme and philosophy, but the energy of the football team and the defense themselves.
Well, he's got something to prove, and he's surrounded by more talent.
Exactly. I think. He's just, oh my God, Shane. On tape, it's like a coach's wet dream is being displayed with this guy. You could, Shane, we talked about it. It's fucking 3rd down in the 4th quarter. You're backed up against your fucking 1 or 1st down. He's not on the field.
Ugh.
I'm like, how isn't he on the field in that situation?
I know.
Like, what coach does that? Like, oh, we're coming out of commercial. Khalil, get your fucking... This is big. Put it away. That was the only thing I had an issue with Vic. But everybody came to play. And Khalil Mack just brings a different energy. I don't think Greg Gabriel's wrong, Shane, when he said it's a different core. We should have beat Green Bay. But you should have, would have, could have shit, So it doesn't matter now. But like you said to begin the show, the fact that you win, I take it anyway. I hate the fucking emotional roller coaster it puts me through in my house. My family does too. But Damn. I'd love to see one of those 40-0 blowouts.
I think it's quite possible. One of the things that I'm a little bit worried about is that Arizona Cardinals blitz, but we'll talk more about that blitz with Patrick Finley, who is going to join us.
This is Patrick.
Patrick Finley, welcome to Bears Barroom. You are on the line with Draft Dr. Phil Atoshin and Shane. That's Phil's voice right there. And Shane Marsaw, who we call the smartest man in the barroom, and he'll prove that to you tonight. Say hi, Shane.
Hey, Pat. How are you?
And
I'm good. How are you guys?
Well, we're all well. My name is Aldo. I just kind of tee things up here. I serve the drinks in this bar room, and then I'll just kind of fade into the background while you guys talk football. But I want to welcome you to Bears Bar Room and tell our audience that Patrick Finley covers the Chicago Bears for the Chicago Sun-Times. How long have you been doing that now, Patrick?
This is the start of my 6th season. I've been here. And I've seen a lot of bad football since I got here.
Us too.
Yeah, and before I did that, I covered basketball and football for the out at the University of Arizona for the newspaper in Tucson. So yeah, a little more success out there, at least on the basketball front.
And people
they freaking stole Bear down from us.
That's right.
Us up. Can you correlate that story, please?
I can totally correlate the story. Arizona had it first, and there's a reason that
I sense pride in this, Patrick. That you're coming from.
When you go to the draft or when you go to different league events and you see banners and T-shirts and stuff with all these teams' slogans, whether it's "Go Pack Go" or "Skull" or whatever. I mean, Bear Down isn't there, and that's because they would have to pay Arizona a percentage if they were to do it. And it stems from, if you don't mind the history lesson, there was an Arizona quarterback named Button Salmon gets in a car accident in the middle of the desert. Of all things, like it's still surprising there were cars. I think this was in the 30s, early 30s. He's on his deathbed. He's on his deathbed at the hospital, and he tells the coach to tell his teammates to bear down, and that's where it comes from. It has nothing to do with actual bears.
Interesting story.
Wow, finally. Look at you.
I want to also tell our audience that you can find Patrick often on the talk show Sports Talk Chicago on NBC Sports Chicago. Patrick, I see you on there often, and David Kaplan.
Did it today.
Yes, that's right. You were on today talking Cubs and Bears and all sorts of good stuff. I got to tell you that David Kaplan precedes you here. He was a guest on our show, and so you've got some big shoes to kind of fill.
Cap's one of the real nice people in town. And,
he really is.
And he's one of the best. I have nothing bad to say about him that I wouldn't joke about to his face, at least.
Yeah, he's a good guy. He doesn't know an elite running back when he sees one, but he's a good guy.
Well, we should start there because that's an interesting take. Kaplan on his radio show said that he doesn't think Jordan Howard is an elite NFL running back. You've seen him now for this is his 3rd season with the Chicago Bears. How would you describe Jordan Howard as a running back compared to the elite running backs in the NFL?
I think he's a very good running back. When you talk about elite, I think I need to see how he fits in this new system. But my God, statistically, his first 2 seasons, he's a top 5 running back both times. And, the only guys out there with more carries than him when you aggregate the 2 years are the guys that everybody's heard of. I mean, the Zeke Elliott's, the Le'Veon Bells. So he's not quite at that tier yet. But he's, I think he's getting there. The only question I think is, how he fits into this scheme that, we've seen a lot of more power stuff this year than we did under John Fox when they ran mostly outside zone. I don't think it's that big of a deal. I think if you can run outside zone, you can run inside. But I want to wait and see exactly how he looks. Obviously that the season opener was pretty good, and last week wasn't. But I think a lot of that is a workload thing. He's one of those running backs that just gets better the more he touches the ball. And in Matt Nagy's system, it's pretty democratic, and I don't think that they're not going to lean on a running back unless they've got a lead, I don't think.
Democratic. It's more like Trumpism when it comes to Jordan Howard. I just think play call and selection, Patrick, has been very, when you talk about situational football, we go back to the Packers game. I talked about it on my show. I talked about it on this show. 3rd and 2, that's 2 down territory with the clock running down. Packers have that no timeouts. But situationally, they didn't choose to use him. It was an error in my mind. But in looking at this past game philosophically, again, the workload, to your point, and the continuous amount, I compared it to June Jones out there. You're just throwing every down. It made no sense to me. But we talked about it earlier that we think therapeutically he's trying to break him from John Fox's and Dowell Loggins. Don't make a mistake no matter what. Parenting. What are your thoughts on that?
I think that some of it is just kind of is maybe even more basic than that. Maybe not quite as psychological, but just he needs reps in this system. And they talked about practice reps all they could with Mitch, about getting as many as they could, 2,000 reps or whatever it was that Matt said. And then they sat him out of that preseason game, which, as it turns out, when you lose to your rival by 1,
thank you,
and
Pat.
the quarterback's got the ball in his hands with a chance to try to win it. And when he says afterwards that maybe the moment got a little too big for him, I don't think that's. I think that Nagy wound up. Let's put it this way: Nagy probably wound up losing that argument in the court of public opinion. Had they won the game, had Kyle Fuller intercepted the pass, had on that, you talk about that 3rd and 2 play. I mean, I'm in the press box, and I said I'm whispering quarterback sneak. I thought that they'd just have Mitch, running up the middle, and if they got a 1.5 yards, then they'd just do the exact same thing again. But he needs some time in the system, and it's hard to, they preach patience, and I tend to give them the benefit of the doubt on that for now. But you want to see flashes, and you want to see something that shows to be special, and. Even tonight, the Browns put Baker Mayfield in, and he looks, special at times. And fans really need that just for, I think, their own sanity and for something to dream on. And we'll see if he can do that, Sunday against the Cardinals. You would think that if there's a chance to get him right, it's playing a really bad team. But road games are tough. Winning on the road is tough. And I think it's actually kind of a sneaky good test for Mitch.
Hey, Pat, with the way that things have played out so far, we're talking about maybe the non-commitment to a running game. How much do you think that Nagy, with Mitch sitting out essentially the preseason games, this is him force-feeding him in the regular season now to get him jump-started? I mean, to me, it's pretty clear that Mitch is lacking a little bit of confidence. We talked about it earlier on the show that they say that Mitch is a perfectionist, just in his everyday life, even away from football. And how much do you think that this is playing into it, that he's just force-feeding Mitch because at this point he can rely on that superior defense to kind of get him through his struggles now, so it may pay off at mid-season and beyond?
I don't think he's sitting there saying, I'm going to force feed Mitch, at the expense of my run game on purpose. I mean, obviously, Nagy, after that Packers game, he was pretty critical of his own play calling. And that's something that Mark Trestman did. And, I don't say that as a pejorative. I actually think that that's somewhat commendable the next day to come out and go, fellas, there's stuff I would have done differently. I think if you're not saying that as a play caller, you're probably a liar. Dowell Loggins even would say that. That there were some things he needed to clean up. Some of it is trying to get Mitch's feet underneath him. I think, I'm working on something for this weekend about the deep ball and about the fact that last year, Alex Smith was the best deep ball quarterback in football last year. Believe it or not, for all of the knocks on Alex Smith, he had he had the best numbers when he was going deep. But that's a really big part of this offense, is trying to keep the defense honest. And until Mitch can do that regularly, I don't think we're going to see everything that this offense should be. And when we talk about running backs and Jordan Howard and workload, and let's not forget, the Chiefs had the leading rusher in football last year. I mean, it's possible to have a good deep threat quarterback and a superior run game, and those two things can coexist. So I don't think it's an either-or proposition for him necessarily.
Patrick, take us through that Saturday morning where the news broke that Khalil Mack was now being traded for the Bears. What was the media room like, and what were you guys saying?
It wasn't. Nobody was in the media room. It was an off day for them. Usually on cut week, what happens is you cover the Thursday game and you don't go back to House Hall until Monday morning. So we all are working from home, and I wake up at 6:30 in the morning because I've got a text from somebody, just a friend of mine, saying, "Oh my God, is this actually going to happen?" And yeah, it turned into a 14, 16-hour day, something like that. At some point, I have to go on.
So they pay overtime there?
No, they treat us well, but during the season, no, they don't. The nice thing is the off season's a little. If you take a couple of days off in the off season, nobody bats an eye. But no, at about 1 o'clock, I told my wife and my 3-year-old to just go do something because I wasn't going to be much help. We had my wife, the three of us, we were going to go stay at a hotel in town on that Sunday night, just as a little staycation thing before the season started. We went ahead and canceled that because that was because we knew that Sunday would be something. And it was. And we wound up going to House Hall on Sunday to meet him and to talk to Nagy and Ryan Pace about it. In general, here's why I didn't think it would happen. Everybody wanted to talk about it in the couple of weeks leading up, and I just sat there and I couldn't picture Ryan Pace, the same guy who said, we're going to build through the draft over and over and over and over again, and that's why he was hired. I couldn't picture him giving up 2 first-round picks. In addition to that second he traded for Anthony Miller, I just didn't see the path for him to keep acquiring young talent and still have Khalil Mack. I didn't know the Raiders would be dumb enough to throw him a second-round pick coming back. And, once we had heard that was a possibility, then that trade began to make sense because, now if you're Pace, I mean, there is a non-zero chance that pick the Raiders have in the second round is going to be 33, 34, 35, 36. I mean, a really good pick.
Yeah.
And if the Bears are as good as they hope they'll be in 2 years, maybe the Bears be drafting 26. And so you just, you can look at it as moving down 10 spots for the privilege of getting Khalil Mack. That makes a lot more sense to me. I don't think the Bears could have made the move if they didn't get that number 2 back. And I think it's to their credit that they did. And then, the McCaskies, fans like to come down hard on them for a lot of reasons, and some of them are justified for sure. But the fact that they're willing to open up the pocketbook and pay that salary, I mean, it was $60 million guaranteed at signing. I mean, that has to be in escrow when he shows up. I mean, that's not a, hey, we'll get it to you thing. And then, part of the reason that people think the Raiders traded him was because Mark Davis either was unwilling or unable to produce that sort of cash on hand. So I think at the ownership level, too, they should be commended for making an investment in this guy. And, 2 games in, it looks like a really smart investment. But, my God, that's some serious money. And that's something that, if they're going to go for it, it's one thing to say you're going to go for it. It's another to write a check for $60 million on 2 days' notice.
$2.7 billion, Patrick, according to Forbes, the Bears organization.
Hey, whatever reputation. I mean, they've had. I'm not speaking out of school here. I mean, in the last decade, I think that they did have a reputation for being cheap. But at least in the years since I've been here, I think I don't see that quite as much anymore. I mean, I can't think of a player here who left because the Bears wouldn't pay him what he was worth. And, we're not talking about Cam Meredith, about that level of guy. We're talking about, they haven't had, well, for one thing, they haven't had a ton of stars in the last, 6 years.
Yeah, the closest one would probably be Alshon, but I think that was just it was a philosophical difference. They're not really philosophical, but I just don't think that Pace believed in him moving forward so much and staying healthy.
Yeah, and if you're gonna get dinged for a 4-game drug suspension in a walk year, I mean that's I think that gives you some insight on that's not the best. Let's put it this way: that's not the best way to get a raise.
Hey, to stay on the pass rush a little bit, Pat, we see today them saying that Floyd's going to be wearing a brace and his fingers are going to be free, and you're talking about a guy that's not really relying on his power, and his hand usage is going to be key for him. If he's not really winning off the snap with his explosion. Where do you think we are with that? I mean, it's Phil and I go over the all 22 probably a little bit too much, and it hasn't been exactly a great look for Leonard Floyd in a lot of plays this year. Do you think it's strictly because of the club? It just do you think that's going to change this weekend? Because I think that the Bears to take that next step to a truly elite defense, I think he's got to be that secondary rusher to Mac for them to make that leap.
Well, yeah, and how about this? I mean, he's got to prove to them by the end of the year that he's worthy of the 5th-year option that they're going to have to pick up at some point in the spring. So, yeah, it's a big year for him. The club doesn't help. I mean, obviously, and we talked to Leonard yesterday about it, and he was saying game 2 wasn't any easier than game 1 because the club is still the club, and there's no real getting used to it. His coaches had talked before he got hurt about the big difference between at the start of OTAs even and in the middle of camp was that his hand fighting had gotten a lot better, and that they were hoping that would bring a new dimension to his game, which was more or less speed based in his first couple of years. It's got to help. Vic Fangio said today it's kind of foolish to judge him off of these 2 games because of what he's been hampered by. I think, come back to me maybe week 8. I think after the bye week, my guess is that he won't be wearing a brace, and he should be more of himself. This is a guy that, last year, at the start of the year last year, if I would have had to bet on a Pro Bowl player on the team, I think I probably would have picked Leonard. The thinking just being that if he could stay healthy, I think that he is special. And he didn't. And then he got hurt this preseason, and all of a sudden, the question about his durability is a very real one. Mm-hmm. But I mean, this is the really interesting thing about adding Mac, though, is whether we're talking about Leonard or whether we're talking about Trubisky. Mac can hide a lot of flaws that other guys have, and maybe if Leonard isn't, maybe Leonard wasn't supposed to be the number 1 pass rusher on a good team. Maybe he's the other guy on a good team, and it's somebody that you can play around with in coverage. He's just a super athlete. I mean, when you see him in person, he looks like, to me, he looks like Jimmy Butler. I mean, you wouldn't think he's a football player. I mean, when he got here, he looked like a two guard for a basketball team. There's some question, I think, about whether his weight or lack thereof has contributed to some of these injuries that he's had or his durability. But that's a very long-winded way of saying I don't think we can judge him quite yet. You're right in saying that he hasn't jumped off the screen in the 2 games they're playing. But week 5, week 6, I think is when he'll start looking a little more like himself.
Patrick, you're not selling me this house that you're trying to sell here is Leonard Floyd. 2 guard, everything you're talking about. And I want to stay here because I think it can't be undersold how Khalil Mack has changed the whole energy and the performance of players that were already good, like Akeem Hicks and Eddie Goldman, and this kid Roy Robinson here. Say that again?
Danny Trevathan. Yes. Yeah,
Danny Trevathan, Roquan. You could see the energy, the confidence. In Leonard Floyd, you know what I see on tape? I see a guy gliding. There's a play I put up. He jumps over, shows his athleticism, a fullback, and then that he's content. I want, and maybe that's what they want. But to me, I don't think Vic Fangio doesn't like his defensive end to let a guy cut back on him and not give effort. Come on a twist stunt, coming clean on 3rd and 4, and decide that you're not going to put your shoulder pad into anybody, that you're just going to put your arms out, and the guy gets a great spot. We got to get into that with you, Pat. But Leonard Floyd has not risen to the occasion with the surrounding, where it was very evident. I don't know how you saw it, but I wanted to talk to you about it. In Aaron Lynch's energy on the opposite side with a Khalil Mack versus a Leonard Floyd's.
Yeah, I didn't know what Lynch was, and I don't think, and I mean, and there's reason for that. Number one, he was a healthy scratch a lot last year for a bad team, and and you look at his history. I mean, it's the guy who left Notre Dame, and then when he left USF, I mean, there was a guy fired at USF, I think their strength guy, for ripping him, the day he was drafted because they just thought he was a bad dude. So he's got some baggage there. And then, he shows up, he gets hurt in OTAs twice. Then he hurts his hamstring on literally the first play of team practice on the first day of training camp. I'm
can't make this story up.
No, you can't. And if he wasn't collecting the paycheck he was collecting, I'm not sure he would have made the team. Particularly once you signed Khalil, or once you traded for Khalil Mack, 3 hours before rosters were due. If this is who he is, which is a maybe more hard-nosed than I thought he was, and somebody who you can use in bursts, but you don't have to rely on, I think that's a good fit there. I would be hesitant to plug him in, for too many more snaps than we've been seeing, even if Floyd is, 3/4 of himself. And that's just because I don't think he's proven he can do it. You're right, he's looked good in flashes. And the other thing with Floyd too, and not to get back at him or back on him too much, but everybody talks about the influence that Mack will have on his teammates, not just on the field, but in terms of off the field, in terms of just mentality, practice, work ethic, studying, just being a general badass. Some of those things, some of those things are things that Leonard Floyd could probably use a little help with, and I don't think it's ridiculous to wonder if that starts to rub off, if Leonard won't become a more well-rounded player.
Pat, where do you stand? It seems like one of the biggest debates when you talk about PFF and the fans, and it seems like people are all over the map on Adrian Amos.
Oh my God.
We're big fans of Adrian here at the Bar Room. We had him on the show and talked to him, and we all think that he's actually pretty underrated for what he does, even though he doesn't have the splash plays. But what do you see when you're looking at number 38 back there, and where do you stand on this debate that's all over the map on a player?
I agree with you guys. I think he is probably a little bit under the radar. I don't think he's the best safety in football, or the second best safety, or whatever PFF called him. But yeah, I wasn't necessarily surprised that the Bears didn't decide to give him that extension before the season started the way they did with Eddie Goldman. I just think Eddie Goldman's a different caliber of player. And, I just don't know. Amos would have to have a pretty spectacular season, I think, to price himself out of Chicago. If he's solid again, I still think the Bears could circle around and keep him. With Eddie Jackson back there, I think they make for a nice tandem. I think that you've got the ball hot guy, and then you've got the more solid tackler. He's, on this defense now, I don't know if they're, what do you guys think? Do you think is safety the weakest part here of this defense? And is that I think that's a compliment to the way they built the scheme. Of all the starters that they have, as underrated as I think Amos is, if I were the opponent, I think I would try and test he and Eddie Jackson as much as possible, if given my choice between that and Prince and Kyle.
Yeah, if you ask me, I'm worried about our corners more than I'm worried about Eddie Jackson.
I'm worried about the depth at both places. I will tell you that. I mean, when Marcus Cooper is your fourth corner, that's bad news. You know, Bryce Callahan is, boy, is he fun to watch, but he's a guy who breaks down every year. And then, you know, I mean, are you comfortable with any backup safety that they have? I'm not. And if somebody gets hurt for a long period of time, I wonder what the Bears would do. I wonder if they'd go, or let's put it this way, I wonder if their backup safety is on somebody else's team right now.
Well, I like the kid, Houston Carson. I thought he was having a great preseason. He was around the football, but then he gets hurt. You know, it sets him back, and he's the only guy, right, on the injury report. But the other,
I mean, breaking a forearm is a serious,
right?
It's a serious thing, and I think they view him more as a special teamer, and probably their second best special teamer, or second or third, depending on what you think about Josh Bellamy. I don't know that they think he's somebody who can play regular snaps at safety.
I disagree with you, Pat. I think this kid can, and if he was healthy, he was taking that step into doing it. But he is a tremendous, what you're saying, I agree with you there. I think he's a tremendous special teamer. But to the point of your question, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Oh, no, I was just going to say that he was getting better, but getting hurt at the time he did, which is that Bronco game. I mean, that's some pretty serious developmental time that he misses, not to mention, having to jump back in a defense that, probably feels a lot different than the one he left, in a good way.
Right.
Yeah, it feels like playing him on defense might be like trying to jump into a car that's going 30 miles an hour, as you're standing there on the side of the road.
I don't agree. I think the Khalil Mack effect has an effect on the secondary. But to your question, I'm with Shane. The corner, it's such a dynamic defense that we're struggling to find a weakness here, because I think Amos is better than you guys do, because I've heard your boys Johns and Hogue, and we've had Adam on the show as well. Great dude. I think Adrian Amos, not only is he a tone setter, he's a message sender. He is a Khalil Mack playing in the secondary. There is no person that he's afraid of. And if you have that kind of guy, and again, in a league that's trying to make offense easier, you need these kind of players that in a pinch in the alley are able to fill, isolate blocks. You mentioned Callahan. If the kid didn't have the injury history, we'd be talking about him bigger, because he's such a great tackler in the open field. And same with Amos. He fills these alleys where you saw in the preseason, the backups go in, a Deion Bush doesn't hit the right alley, the running back goes for 60, and in effect, your defense stinks. Well, this guy covers a lot of warts because he's in there filling. Now you have Roquan and obviously Danny Trevathan and Mack and these guys that are so tremendous. It just makes their jobs easier, and guys that might not be as talented, like Houston Carson's job, if he had to come in. I was just saying, as a backup, I'm okay with him. Bush, I concern myself with, but that being said, I just wanted you to hear that. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah. I mean, I haven't seen Bush do much. He's I mean, some of these guys are backups for a reason, and yeah, I mean, your point about, I think your point about Amos is right. I mean, you need one guy like that. You can't have two.
Exactly.
And that's why I think Eddie Jackson does make for such a nice pairing with him, just because one of their strengths is the other guy's weakness. And that's something that if one or the two of them get hurt, I think maybe we might learn something more about the other guy.
Exactly, Pat.
But the Bears, but the Bears probably, that's a lesson the Bears probably don't want to learn.
Well, we're a little bit into this interview now. We haven't talked about Kevin White yet, which is probably a good thing. But we've we've been kind of scratching our. We all know that Javon Wims kind of balled out here in the preseason and really showed quite a bit as a 7th-round draft pick. And Phil and I have debated that we have no issue in him. I mean, making the roster over Kevin White or dressing over Kevin White. I mean, I think White got a couple of snaps in game 1, and I think it was like around 12 in game 2. But do you think this is where we are for the rest of the season with him, Pat? Do you think that they're going to – what do you think the game plan is with Kevin White?
I think there will be situations when they need him a little bit more, and whether that's them deciding to go 4 wide, whether there's something they like there, whether somebody gets hurt. I mean, if you need an injury replacement, I still think I'd prefer Kevin White over Wims, just if you need to win a game today. Not that Wims won't develop and maybe be better than him, but for one game with a short week or with a week's worth of practice, maybe I'd go with White. He's one of those guys like Mitch that is very hard on himself. And when you're wired that way and when you get so much of your value in your ability to play football, going through the last 3 years for him, it's been hell. I mean, I realize that people don't care, but it's been difficult for him. And I think the Bears had hoped, and probably still do hope, that, a little taste of success might, spark more. In the same way that, that when he gets down on himself, he might spiral a little bit. Maybe if he gets up on himself, things will get better. He's obviously not part of their future, but, they were hoping to get him going a little bit. I don't see a place in the game plans we've seen the last 2 weeks. I don't see a place for him. When they decided that Taylor Gabriel is going to play, 80% of the snaps, something like that? I mean, to me, that's very surprising. They're paying him, obviously, like it, but I thought he'd be a little more of a specialized player. Not that they play the same position, but, I just don't know what you're supposed to do with White at this point.
I can tell you, Pat. You just put him on the bench and stress Javon Wims because you want these kind of athletes that want the football. You hit it out of the park, and you're being like you're psychoanalyzing this guy. He's lost his confidence. That's what it is. Right. How much of the playbook does he know, Pat, in your mind? I've seen they had to call a timeout against Green Bay because he was lined up wrong. They've criticized them in training camp, the coach yelling at him. I mean, do you have to walk around with an NFL player with kid gloves? To me, it's an error. It's like trying to be politically correct and keep this guy on the roster to cover Pace's ass instead of saying, you know what, Fox sucks. We need to fucking fire him because we're going to draft a quarterback and have this plan already. It's the same thing with Kevin White. Javon Wims is in one freaking practice showed me more than Kevin White has in his career. Now it's filled with injuries. Go ahead. Wims is
interesting. After that first Hall of Fame game, I remember talking to him and I said, where'd this come from? And he said, I didn't mean it sarcastically. I was just, and he said, at Georgia, my coaches used to tell me that, that I didn't practice the way I played in the game, and that I really tried to fix that. But then, you watch the next 2 weeks of practice after that Hall of Fame game, and he was not good. And coaches, I think Matt Nagy said it, just that he didn't take that leap that they were hoping he'd make. And then he got things straightened out. He obviously put some good film out there, and the film he put out there in the preseason was probably the reason why he's on this roster right now. It's because they couldn't stash him or couldn't slide him through the practice squad. With both those guys, though, if one of them could play special teams, or if one of them was a competent special teams player, I think that would be the tiebreaker. But the interesting thing about Kevin is that it's not like the Bears shifted gears and decided, hey, you're gonna play this utility role and help us. He's essentially a wide receiver or nothing. And that's not going to help him get his next job if he does get his next job.
Patrick, you've been very, very generous with your time. In return, I want to tell our listeners that all you have to do is pay $1 for the first month if you subscribe to the Sun-Times and access their digital content, and then it's a low $7 or so a month after that. And you can follow Patrick Finley on Twitter at Patrick Finley. Now, over at suntimes.com, Patrick, you made a prediction for the game, and I want you to tell us a little bit more about why you think the Bears are going to win this game on Sunday against the Arizona Cardinals. 18-0 was your prediction. Tell us why.
Yeah, I picked a screwy score because it's fun to pick screwy scores sometimes. and also, and I will cop to this. Last Thursday morning when we made our picks, I did pick the Seahawks, in part because nobody else in town was picking the Seahawks, and I figured that might not be a bad contrarian play. And then all their guys who were on the fence there decided not to play, and I was not feeling good about my pick by Monday night. I think there's a chance that we may see this weekend what we're seeing in the Browns game tonight, is that if Sam Bradford goes out and does the Sam Bradford thing, which is complete a 4-yard pass and then go try and complete a 3-yard pass and then go try and complete a 4-yard pass, that if it goes sideways, I think Josh Rosen could play in the second half. And if that's the case, to me, that has shutout written all over it. And even the Cardinals would probably be conceding if they brought him in that they weren't playing to win that game. They were just playing to give him some experience. I think this defense has a chance, obviously, to be even better this week than they were last week. David Johnson is somebody that obviously concerns the coaches there. But, this is where having an athlete like Roquan Smith is a really big help to them.
Exactly.
I feel a lot better with Roquan out there than I would Kwiatkowski. Kwiatkowski's fine. Against the run, Kwiatkowski's fine. But when you flex Johnson out, and that's something that the Cardinals have said they're going to do more of, you need some speed to go sideline to sideline with him. So I think they've got that covered. The fact that Larry Fitzgerald was limited in practice today, I don't think is a big deal, but it certainly doesn't help. And I just think that it's a weird position. I told you guys this is my 6th season. I can't remember the Bears being an overwhelming road favorite in the court of public opinion. In Vegas, I think, what's the number in Vegas? 5.5, something like that.
5.5 tonight.
Yeah, that seems a little low to me. I think I'd probably set it at 6.5. But so it's.
Aren't you betting against Mike North? Bears Barrooms, Mike North in the Sun-Times?
Yeah, don't
Isn't Potsy is doing that. Mark Potash.
Oh, okay.
The weekly bets with him.
Okay.
But, I think that the recipe here is really good for the Bears. And, the only thing that gives me pause is just the fact that we have very little recent history of the Bears being in this situation and doing well in it. But they didn't have Khalil Mack in those. They didn't have Khalil Mack in those years either. So,
hey Pat, how much were you looking forward to seeing possibly Mike Glennon getting a start out there?
Exactly.
Let's be honest. Khalil Mack beating up on him a little bit.
Oh my gosh!
They bring him and Bradford in, and Mike Glennon. Like I said, nobody cares that Mike Glennon's a nice guy, but Mike Glennon's a nice guy. They bring the two of them in, and then of course, a rookie quarterback falls in their lap, and they have to trade very little to move up and get him. And Mike Glennon is almost right back where he started with the Bears, which is something. Something. Two guys are going to have to get hurt on Sunday for Mike Glennon to be able to take the field. And that's hey, if you're making $4 million and that's where you are, like, good for him. But I'm sure that's not how he thought his career would go. 18 months ago when he signed with the Bears.
Well, it's very likely that there could be some quarterbacks hurt for the Arizona Cardinals, given their offensive line putrid. Is part of the reason David Johnson's numbers are as horrendous as they are. He's an outstanding back, but that offensive line cannot run or pass block. Patrick Finley, thank you very much for being on.
Wait, we got one favor.
Oh, that's right.
Oh, please.
We always ask our guests to do a little promo for us. If you don't mind saying your name and your affiliation.
What you do.
Yeah, what you do, and then tell people that you're listening to Bears Barroom Radio. We would really appreciate it.
Okay. All right. Let me try and sound all official here.
Okay.
All right. Hi, this is Patrick Finley at the Chicago Sun-Times. You're listening to Bears Barroom Radio.
Look at him. You're keeping up a tradition, Pat. One takes.
Took David Kaplan 3 takes, right, Shane?
Yeah, it sure did. Yeah, Adam Hogue was 7 or 8 times. Yeah.
Yeah. Cap's like Mitch though. He's so hard on himself. You just got to let him try it over.
Patrick, we hope we run into you someday. We'll buy you a drink and shake your hand and really express our gratitude for spending some time with us.
We got to get him back.
Anytime, guys.
Yeah, we'd love to have you back. Anytime you want to talk football. It sounds to me like you could probably talk football for another hour.
Yeah, Pat. I like Pat. I'm going to go on the record and say this with you on the air because we're going to talk about you when you get off. Well, I will say this. I so prefer the Sun-Times writers and their analysis of football. You guys stay away from the narratives. You bring it. You're truthful with it. It could be your opinion, and you say so. Patrick, I appreciate you coming on, and I appreciate what you do. Seriously. I'm not just saying that. I think you guys do it right over there.
Thank you, guys. And we spend a lot of time and a lot of effort doing it all. So anytime it's appreciated. That's always good.
Thank you, Patrick, very much. We'll talk to you soon.
Sounds good, boys. Thank you.
All right, Patrick. That's my contract for him to come back.
Remove those lips from Finley's ass there, Phil.
They're good. It's true.
Oh, no.
I like guys.
He brought it tonight.
Came on. He brought it, right, Aldo?
Yeah.
Sorry.
No, and every time I see him on Sports Talk Chicago, he has probably, I would agree with Phil, probably the best take of the sports writers there regarding football. I mean, sometimes Hogue is on, and you guys know how much we like Hogue, but Finley definitely puts the work in, and he's good not only as a writer but articulating his views on football.
It doesn't take you very long to find out the writers that don't give a shit.
Oh my God!
And don't put the work into it.
To Aldo's point, that guy, if Aldo didn't pull the plug, would have kept going with us.
He would have.
Because and even though I don't agree with him on certain things, he knows what he's talking about. It's not like he's talking ass backwards, as Shane is saying. We could tell right away, and I'm telling you the truth that I'm complimenting him truthfully on 100 Proof. That's what this show is about. So, yes.
This show is also about this.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. I don't have anything to say,
He's the smartest man. He's never drunk texted, tweeted bullshit, and been on social media ignorant and sad. He's the epitome of truth. We call him the money man. But he can only dream of having a big baller pad. He's the smartest man, and this is his dumbest tweet of the week.
Phil set it up perfectly. This is indeed Shane's portion of the show where he finds, among the millions of tweets out there, he finds the one that we all will agree is the dumbest tweet of the week. Shane, what do you got?
Well, guys, this guy's a back-to-back winner this week. Somebody that we alluded to earlier in the show. He's got a beard and sunglasses in his profile picture, trying to look like a badass that doesn't know football. Mr. Andrew Link at BearsLink82.
I thought you were talking about me.
You're next week. So, as soon as the game's over, Mr. Link thought it was imperative to send out a tweet that said, "This was not a good win, Bears fans. The Bears should have won by 3+ scores. This was a shitty win. I feel almost as crappy about this win as I did about the loss last week in Green Bay. This team has a very long way to go before they are a finished product." Well, I mean, so he did three things here. He tweeted obvious stuff like he likes to do with his coworker, Mr. Obvious. So he got that.
Captain Obvious.
I was just going to play
he
that.
tweeted bullshit, which... Have you ever sat here, Aldo, after a Bears win on national TV or any win in general, and said, "This fuckers won by 3 points, 6 points, 7 points, but they should have won by 10. They should have won by 12, 14." Did that ever rub you the wrong way?
Oh yes, absolutely.
Yeah. And so, listen, we know this is one of the youngest teams in the NFL. New head coach, young quarterback. We all know they're a work in progress on offense. I mean, that's pretty obvious, but there's no such thing as a bad win when you're trying to turn the corner with a franchise.
Exactly.
And coming from where the Chicago Bears have come from. I mean, how many games did we win in the month of September under John Fox? Wasn't maybe 1 or 2 total, if that? Mm-hmm. In his 3 seasons. So Matt Nagy's 1-1, and if you watched that game, like we alluded to earlier in the show, when you watched it live, you may have came away upset, and then when you sat down and reviewed it and did the all 22, and even if you watched the broadcast version again and focused in on different things, I came away feeling much better than I did initially. So, and that's not me being a homer. That's just me being honest. So, Mr. Link, you are the dumbest tweet of the week for the second consecutive week. So, it's maybe
back to back.
Yeah, we'll see if he can pull off the three-peat next week. And he's pretty shitty tweeter, so I have full confidence in him that he can pull
What
this
was
off.
that Twitter handle? I want to block him.
Please do. Yeah, that it's so dumb. Like, all of us have that emotion, but you go back and you look at things in the moment, the anxiety that I was dealing with and disappointment gets washed away with the victory. Because anytime, to Shane's point, you could win in this league, which is filled with parity and everyone's got their narratives, I just want to see the Bears win. That's it. At the end of the day, everybody in my family is going to be happy. Everybody that knows me is going to talk about, wow, your boys won. Because I don't live in Chicago, and Shane probably experiences the same thing. So I'm the guy that has the Bears flag, the Bears barroom bumper sticker, and Bears license plate, and Bears gear 99% of the time I'm wearing.
I got all that stuff too.
So everybody lives, I don't care, I'm just keeping it 100 on the show to talk to you. And especially when they know that I know, especially at my job, I deal with like 362 workers daily. And they are always, keep the most, non-football fan is keeping track of how the Bears did so they could talk to me or bust my chops about it. So we lived through that. So the emotion is with it. But to go back and play that kind of shitty shit link, then you fucking just don't understand. It's like...
He made that evident on Twitter tonight.
Apparently, barflies need to go. Go ahead, Shane. Tell them what they need to do. Tonight is what, the 20th, so tomorrow morning will be just the 21st.
Go to Mr. Link's timeline and look at all of his wonderful tweets, and the comedy will ensue from there. You'll see.
There you go. So just doctor's orders.
But be nice.
Go read his fucking
nice
tweet line, his timeline.
Don't threaten
whatever
to kill
he's
him.
going to call it.
Don't threaten to kill him, Nikki.
Don't threaten to kill anybody. Don't be a Twitter bully, guys.
That's right.
Don't get drunk and threaten people, but criticize somebody else because of a picture.
It's ridiculous.
Exactly. Like, just be you. Don't fucking troll anybody.
You want to see my square footage, Phil? Want to see my square footage?
Yeah, how much square footage do you have, Shane?
I'm not a big baller. I think I got
you don't have a big baller,
2,800, 3,000 maybe.
Do you have a Google map of your house you could share with everyone?
Put it up there.
Jesus Christ.
All right.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. I'm a big baller, yeah.
I knew you were going to fucking do it. You can't make me laugh. He's the smartest man. He had an idea once because he wanted to improve the taste of salad for America. So he added bits of bacon. He had pondered hard on his Twitter handle, but went with Wazram because Captain Hugs was taken. Oh, isn't that cute? He's the smartest man, and this is his best tweet of the week.
Captain Hugs.
You'll get it tomorrow.
Yeah.
So now Captain Hugs.
I'm marking that one down.
See how he feels about Bears Barroom.
He'll download the podcast version. You know it. They all
He'll
do.
be listening. Listen in. Bring your guns. All your fucking guns you like to fucking show. Jesus Christ.
That was your most surreal smartest man intro ever. I have marked it down. It happened on my counter, the 2 hour, 16-minute mark. I'm going to be listening to that over and over tonight.
You should see Aldo's face. It's so bright and his smile is so big. So I did my job tonight, Shane.
It's fun.
You sure did.
It's fun. Shane, what do you got?
So we're going to go a little rapid fire here. It's been a pretty good week for the bar flies. And
this is a positive rapid.
Yeah, so I got to give him some credit out there. There was a lot of good tweets, and we're going to kick it off with a friend of the bar room, Matt Carstensen, at mcars32, sent out
Bears
a tweet.
Bar Room writer.
Yeah, Cars. He sent out a tweet, and it said, "What if I shared with you the following info? Alex Smith, first 2 games under Andy Reid, Doug Peterson, and Matt Nagy. Game 1, 21 of 34, 173 yards, 2 touchdowns, 5.09 yards per attempt. Game 2, 21 of 36, 223 yards, 2 touchdowns, 6.19 yards per attempt. Mitchell Trubisky's first 2 games under Matt Nagy. Game 1, 23 of 35, 171, 0 touchdowns, 4.89 yards per attempt. Game 2, 25 of 34, 200 yards, 2 touchdowns, 2 interceptions, 5.88 yards per attempt." So if you want a blueprint and everybody that's flipping out that Mitch doesn't have 10 touchdowns and 0 interceptions after week 2, Gandia's boy over there, Patrick Mahomes. But
Gandia was fired up after the game.
He was, man.
I thought it was like a post-draft game. He was all over
you, Shane, and you, Phil, and you.
He was Mahomes breaking it down. Poor Danny felt like he couldn't ask for the ketchup. Could you pass the ketchup?
I told Danny to shut up. Shut up. You talked enough. I'm done talking about Mahomes.
Danny from Deerfield. Hello.
I was laughing. I'm like, this is fucking epic. I love it. I go, Shane, did I not text you? I'm going to fucking break his balls on 100 proof.
Yep. He did. So
I love you, Aldo.
Number 2 is a fellow Sun Times guy, Adam Hogue, at Adam Hogue. Phil, you kind of stole my thunder a little bit when you brought it up. He said he sent out a tweet during the presser today. Matt Nagy says he has someone on the staff that scouts him and lets him know if there are any tendencies in his play calling. That is something that's very very under the radar for a head coach to come out and say that. We would have never heard John Fox come out. He'll just say, we self-scout. I don't think we ever would have seen Fox come out and say that he's got one guy specifically, honing in on him to see. I mean, we all know he had no tendencies other than, 3 yards in a cloud of dust. Just don't turn the ball over. But I think you start to see these little things like that we've all been begging and pleading for forever, it seems like. And I was myself very, very happy to see that, Phil. I know that must have made you real happy when you heard that in the presser today. So, we'll add Adam Hogue to the list. Saw this one come across, and it was from NFL Matchup. They sent out a graphic. They tweeted out a graphic that said quarterbacks when pressured, according to passer rating. The worst-rated quarterbacks in the NFL when pressured. Number 1, Andrew Luck, 1.3 quarterback rating. Josh Allen, 4.9. Derek Carr, 12.8. Case Keenum, 14.6. Number 5, Matthew Stafford. Now we get to the good ones. Number 1, quarterback when pressured this season, Phillip Rivers, 136.5 quarterback rating. Number 2, Kirk Cousins, 131.0. Number 4, Patrick Gandia from the Kansas City. 6. Number 4, Aaron Rodgers, 100.4. Number 5, somebody you guys might know, Mitchell Trubisky, 96.5. Beneath him is Alex Smith, Tom Brady, Ben Roethlisberger, Blake Bortles, and Sam Bradford. So if you're looking for a little bit of silver lining after these 2 games, Mitch is performing under pressure. That's nothing to be overlooked when you're a young quarterback.
Absolutely. And there's a lot of factors that go into that, but I also think that there's several silver linings that we're overlooking with Mitch Trubisky, and we've been tough on him these last 2 weeks, and deservedly so. We haven't said anything I believe that is out of line. We're just commenting on what we're seeing. We're commenting on what he's saying. We're commenting on the results. But if we're guilty of not pointing out some of the good things that he's been doing, then I think I don't think we've been guilty of that. But I think Shane just has done his share of pointing out some of the good stuff.
Are you going to say it? I thought you were going to do it because I'm like reading your mind.
Yeah, go ahead.
We're going to talk about Uncle Mikey here.
Go ahead.
Mikey Nagy. Mikey.
And Wani Nagy.
Mikey Wani.
Anybody have Sam Darnold's numbers tonight? Phil, you got them handy there?
I can't see them yet. No, I've been peeking at the game.
Uncle Mikey's trading him yet. But I'll move on to the next tweet to save some time here. CBS Sports sent out another graphic. It's got a picture of Khalil Mack wearing a Bears jersey, and it says the Raiders defense after 2 games, 1 interception, 0 touchdowns, 1 forced fumble, 0 fumble recoveries, 2 sacks, 0 wins. Khalil Mack after 2 games, 1 interception, 1 touchdown, 2 forced fumbles, 1 fumble recovery, 2 sacks, and 1 win. And what did John Gruden say yesterday in his press conference?
You can't find pass rushers are hard to find.
It's hard to find a great pass rusher. I'm not sure what we are going to do. Maybe we'll have to start blitzing more.
I can't make this up. Like, I can't believe that happened. I thought it was a joke. Exactly.
Just shut up about it and not.
Yeah, really.
Oh my God!
Like, I saw that interview, and he was asked a question about pass rushers from a reporter, and Gruden looked at him like, "You motherfucker!"
Yeah,
you have.
Yeah, I saw it too.
And so he hesitated. I think what ran through his mind was saying, "Fuck you! I'm not going to answer that." So then he came up with that answer.
He's making $100 million. He could probably get away with it.
Yeah, really.
So we got one more here, and it's not Bears related. It's more or less NFL related, but I think it's pertinent in this situation because Pat kind of talked about it with the Bears pulling off the Khalil Mack trade and moving forward with a lack of draft picks. Howard Balzer at HBalzer721, it's a guy out of Philadelphia, sent out a tweet. On NFL opening day rosters, there were 50 undrafted free agents from this year as part of the final 53 on NFL teams. There were another 141 undrafted free agents put on practice squads. You don't have to look very much farther than just to see the Chicago Bears. I mean, we have a guy, Roy Robertson Harris, Bryce Callahan. These are, key contributors to teams. And just because you don't have first-round draft picks, yes, everybody wants to have those and have more of them. Well, we're in this boat. We got Khalil Mack. We don't have the premium draft picks, but let's not forget about Ryan Pace has been able to make some noise in the undrafted free agent market, and those guys are really the fabric of your team moving forward a lot of times. So that's just something to keep in mind moving forward with this club going into the off season and the off season after that even. But it's really a testament if you get out there and do the work. You're going to be discovered. And like I said, 50 of them on opening day 53s and another 141 on practice squads. So you can find these guys anywhere.
Good How many did we kept? Tolliver is undrafted.
Yep.
He's on the 53. Mm-hmm. Was there any other ones? Oh, Rashad Coward.
Ryan.
Well, yeah. I'm talking on the 53 first.
Sorry, yeah.
Right.
Then we'll go there. But
Robertson Harris.
Yeah, Robertson and Callahan, you already said. So that's 4.
Was Cush drafted?
Yes, he
was. I don't know.
Cush was a 5th rounder, I believe.
5th. Okay. How about the long snapper, Scales? I wonder if he was drafted.
I would doubt he was drafted. I mean, I'd be really surprised. Cody Parkey.
He's no Patrick Manley, I'll tell you that.
Cody Parkey wasn't drafted either.
He wasn't?
No.
So there you go. That counts.
Yeah.
So Parkey and Scales that's key special teamers.
Yeah, but they make up a lot.
Bellamy was not drafted.
No, he was. He was? Yeah. I believe Washington.
Kansas City.
Or was Kansas City drafted? One of them. Yeah, one of them. 5th round, I believe. 6th round. Yeah.
Really? Why did I always think he was undrafted?
Yeah, I think he raps about it.
Was Mike Burton drafted? Who drafted Burton?
He started Detroit.
Matt Millen. Oh my God, Burton. At least we didn't get to see Burton. It wouldn't be a show if I didn't mention.
But you know what's going to happen, Phil? True Bears fashion. They'll dress him this weekend.
No.
Oh my God.
Well,
I mean, if you're talking about Howard being a battering ram, they're gonna.
Oh yeah, this guy helped. Fucking put Cohen at fullback for God's sake.
Pat O'Donnell.
They might start. They might activate Burton because
we get a poll this week for the tailgate show.
They talked about the Cardinals' pass rush and they're blitzing from the outside, so that's typically a signal that Burton is going to see some action at the fullback position.
Can I say one thing about Shane's last tweet where they talked about Mack? I would say on the tape he's chipped, and that means that a tight end or a running back is assigned to actually stop being in the route or being in anything and just help the tackle slow him down. So just chip them, meaning run into them and block them off their rush. He must have been chipped, I would say, almost every down. I think I've counted. I meant to keep a note, and I didn't. I would think there was 6 or 5 times he wasn't out of all his snaps. That is why you don't throw stats at somebody only, because he's affecting the game. So that tight end that might be open has given Kwiatkowski an advantage in his coverage because he's got a chip. in order to get out. Now it gives you another time frame, and it could help you. It also could be a negative if he's not getting home and they're doing it like that. But Mac is so fucking impressive, Aldo. Like, I can't. Emery talked about Derek Thomas, but I can't get LT out of my head. I know the football life is coming out coincidentally, but Shane, you shared an LT tweet with me that just was spectacular. And him actually talking about Khalil Mack. Do you remember what he said?
Yeah, not so many, he's...
just paraphrase.
Yeah, just about him being a bad motherfucker, and the other players on the Bears are going to play up to that. It's going to...
And everything he said, Shane, on tape now. And the game was electric. ESPN fucking dropped the ball. We talked on Bears Hour. I addressed it. Clear. Dan Pompey, Gabriel, bunch of players. That's embarrassing that they did that, number one, and not celebrate this guy. But the energy in the stadium could be felt. And also, the players were fucking hitting. Roquan was fucking hitting people.
Breaking news, Phil. Breaking news.
Yeah, breaking. He's not that good. I don't know.
No, I was going to say the Browns won a game.
Oh, the Browns.
We interrupt this program for breaking Bears Barroom News.
Go ahead, Shane.
Browns won. Who fucking cares? Back to the undrafted free agents real quick, though, before I forget. Taylor Gabriel, undrafted.
There's another one.
Trey Burton, undrafted. Michael Burton, 5th-round draft pick, Detroit Lions, 2015. Daniel Brown, undrafted.
Broniker,
undrafted. So
our whole tight end core is undrafted except Sims.
Yeah,
and Shaheen's hurt.
Yeah. So, the Cleveland Browns. Look at those guys. 21-17. Baker Mayfield, 201 yards in relief of Tyrod Taylor.
17 out of 23, was sacked once, no touchdowns, no interceptions. I think what's interesting here is that Carlos Hyde had 23 carries, and that's the way you help break in a young quarterback, right? Yeah.
And his wife gave birth a few minutes before
Hyde's?
Yeah. They induced her yesterday, and she gave birth like literally right before the game, and they gave him a police escort to the game, and he suited up and played immediately afterwards.
Wow. And he scores, scores 2 touchdowns.
Sounds like a fucking movie right here.
Can we call Uncle Mikey and see if he still wants to trade Mitch for Sam Darnold, who just lost to the Browns, who haven't won in 2 years?
They've been close, Shane, I'll tell you. They've been close, though. I love you, Mike.
Got any more tweets, Shane?
That is it. I ended it with the undrafted free agents, and that's where we'll go. Just don't forget about those guys. Like I said, they're a huge part of the Chicago Bears, and it's a lot of.
We forgot about a few.
Yeah,
the whole fucking tight end cores.
Justin Trey Burton and Taylor Gabriel alone.
Those two guys. Exactly. It's so funny. I remember real quick one writer. He was a writer, and I just started on Twitter. I think I was like 6 months in. So it was into football season. It was getting to the end of that season, and the draft was picking up. And this guy's saying, "Yeah, undrafteds, they don't fucking matter." He went to make it a point, and I was Earl. I don't know anything about Twitter etiquette or whatever. I fucking battling him, retweeted my own tweet. So that was like a lesson.
Twitter etiquette.
Yeah, Twitter etiquette.
That was my first barroom show. Was about Twitter etiquette with Lance Boyer.
Lover of dad jokes. I need a Lance Poyer commercial.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? We should do one for the show.
No.
As you walk out and stare out into the mountains.
I followed you forever, dude. You can't follow me back? That's just a lack of Twitter
etiquette.
Twitter etiquette.
Twitter etiquette. That could be a segment. This week on Twitter etiquette, we have Little Nicky. Oh, yeah. This is my son Devin's favorite song.
Radio. A bear up, a bear down. It's Draft Dr. Phil and the smartest man around. A bear up, a bear down. It's Draft Dr. Phil and the smartest man around. A bear up, a bear down. It's Draft Dr. Phil and the smartest man around. A bear up, a bear down. It's Draft Dr. Phil and the smartest man around. A bear up. This week, Draft Dr. Phil and Shane Marsaw, the smartest man in the bar rooms. Bear ups and bear downs of the week. A bear up, a bear down. Draft Dr. Phil and the smartest man around there watching the tape and weighing. The game is done. The Bears have lost and won. They're playing the tape and grading. Bear up, bear down. Draft Dr. Phil and the smartest man around. They're watching the tape and weighing.
They are indeed watching tape and grading. This is the time of the show where Phil and Shane each give us a player who they are disappointed with. That's the bear down player. And a player that they like. Their performance was admirable and they want to give them a shout out. We always begin with the bear down, but we don't always know who is going to go first. Will it be Shane? Will it be Phil? We spin the bottle and it lands on Draft Dr. Phil. Oh my gosh, you go
Shane's
first.
This is 2 weeks in a row. Go ahead, Shane.
It's all you, buddy. Go
ahead. We're gonna start with bear down, correct?
Bear down.
That is correct.
You know what? This was hard for me because, and this is a great thing, that we're having some difficult choices. No longer Mike Burton in the lineup. I'm not used to this. That would have been an easy pick'ems right there. But I got to keep it 100. That's what I do. Leonard Floyd, to me, has been a disappointment. He's been lackadaisical in effort. He's a high-end athlete. I can give two fucks about a club and your defense of it. I get it, that it is a hindrance, that it affects and it will, but the things that I'm being critical on are mental things in toughness and effort that I'm not seeing him celebrate with his teammates. Think about that. Can you visually remember him getting fired up? Maybe this guy doesn't have that in him, but I thought he was taking a step in that Lions game, that he was physical. So I'm not going to give him the break. I want to see him be great. And to Shane's original point to start the show, I think he's 100% right. I thought this medication of Mac would elicit a fucking fire and a passion from this guy that I haven't seen. Now, is he done? No. I want to see him improve. But again, on this show, we keep it 100. The tape tells me, to what Emery Hunt was saying, he doesn't have the dog in him. And I hope he gets it, because the club excuse is one. I've seen a guy named Jason Pierre-Paul play with missing fingers in a club and played his ass off. He could do it. There's plays, as Shane knows, that I just pointed out that it just wasn't the guy that he needs to be. And hopefully Vic and their strategy mentally to get him ready to be and have that switch go on. Because is there any question whether or not Kyle Long missed some blocks, Aldo? He did. do you question his toughness and his mental fortitude of the next play? Because he's fucking pissed off that he missed that assignment. And he's unbelievably athletic and strong. So that's the comp I need in this kind of position. He needs to have that switch, and he doesn't.
I have a little bit more sympathy for Floyd than you do. I hear what you're saying. And you've put up tape and that particular play of him jumping over the fullback and kind of sauntering over.
Sauntering
is awesome right now.
Sounds like a T-shirt.
Sounds like a new Twitter handle for the Link and the crew. Sauntering.
How we all read into stuff more than probably we should, but all that great NFL films stuff of Khalil Mack mic'd up, and you see him on the sidelines. Who was the guy that was closest to him on almost every shot? And it was Aaron Lynch. Where was Leonard Floyd? Why wasn't Leonard shoulder to shoulder with Khalil and just getting that energy from him? The one thing about Floyd that I've always had concerns with is that does he have that junkyard dog mentality needed for that position? And that's exactly what you're talking about, Phil. Now, every press conference, Vic Fangio is asked about him, and he goes out of his way to defend Floyd. And Fangio, he's a pretty candid guy, so I wonder why he is going out of his way to defend Floyd. Is it something that he knows about Floyd, whether it's an injury or something that we don't know? I don't know, so I'm going to withhold judgment on Leonard Floyd, but I do wish that he would just turn on the angriness, the fervor, the fire. He needs to go out drinking with us, Phil. When you're in town next week, the three of us will go out and just pour some scotch all over his face and hair and say, "Go out there tomorrow and go."
Sounds like a bad porno.
Breaking news. I'm coming to town next week and we're filming a porno. Don't tell my wife.
And just as an aside right now, I was going to save this for shout-outs, but I want to make sure I don't forget. When Phil is in town this weekend, everybody's been DMing me.
Not this weekend, the Tampa weekend, so no one gets confused.
That's correct, my bad. I will put out a schedule as to where you can find Phil for autographs and talk, because everybody is saying, "Hey, where's Phil going to be? I want to meet him." So I will publicize it. Don't you worry.
Don't you worry.
We'll text out his number to everybody, and then just find my iPhone, track him down.
Can you use Google Maps?
That's right.
How many square feet am I coming to? Because I'm staying with the Godfather. I'm excited about it. Can I just say something real quick? Sure. Real quick. For our friends across the pond that maybe have never been to Chicago, or any fan, I'm going to town to visit someone I've never met in person, that we've done this show and know each other and laugh and fight and bicker and cry and true friendship here to finally meet. The only way it could have gone better is if Shane came, because I've known him even longer than Aldo for like over 20 years.
That's
never
met. Blame it on Hila.
But that being said, I'm coming into town. There's huge plans. Cubs game, meeting up with Greg Braggs, Trey Busy, Nicky, all these barflies, whatever. Double-A, I'm going over to the Bills. Aldo's going to take me around the town. We're going to cover the Tampa Bay game. I'm going to be on the tailgate show with those guys, too. I'm just excited not only to be there in the city and to see the team and be a part of it, but shout out to people that have made this possible. I don't know if they want me to share that, but I appreciate that. So you know who you are, as well as you, Aldo, taking me in, and I'm so excited to come there and represent Bears Barroom and have our presence felt at the tailgate. So I'll be there. So if you have anything you want to say to me, we could sit down like men and talk about it. And if you want to talk football and be positive and be a good person, I'll do that too. That's what I love and live for. So I'm excited. I really am.
Baloney pony.
Exactly. Hopefully that fucking Dead Air Jer shows up.
That would be nice. That would be nice. All right, it is time now for Shane to give us the one player that he was disappointed in, his Bear down player. Go ahead, Shane.
Pretty easy for me. We talked about him earlier. Tight end, number 88, Deion Sims. You literally watch back, and if you watch him, there's literally almost nothing that he even is putting effort into at this point. And I mean, he's making $6 million. Like Phil said, he's perfectly cut out to be a big time tight end in the NFL. And it's you're talking about the want to, the dog in Leonard Floyd. Deion Sims at this point is on this roster because of his paycheck. That's the only reason. He doesn't deserve to be on the roster, and it pisses you off just going back and watching this guy. I mean, he's not putting forth any effort whatsoever, and I don't even know if there's any reason to, extrapolate on it anymore. He's just, to me, he's coasting. I think he's collecting a paycheck, and then that's all there really is to it. Like I said earlier, I don't think they lose anything by putting Broniker out there. I mean, at least Broniker's going to go out there and bust his ass and at least try to do the right thing. And I think he's got upside. Deion Sims, he's a regressing player every time he goes out there now. And I didn't want to move on from him either, Phil, heading into the season. I said, new philosophy, new coaching staff, maybe they could put a fire under his ass. And watching back at him, I mean, there's times just on blocks, he's not even given a half-ass effort to block. And he's
disgusting.
6'6", 270 pounds. And he's, like I said, not giving any effort, and it's hard to see. And if I'm Matt Nagy, the paycheck be damned, I'm sending a message, and he's not.
I was going to ask you that.
He's not dressing, and don't think for a minute that doesn't go throughout the team. They all know what Deion Sims is making. These guys all know that. And it sends a message that the guy that's going to go out there and put in the effort is going to play. And yet they're
real quick around the table. Do they bench him?
No,
Aldo.
I don't think until Shaheen gets back.
I really believe that Deion Sims is going to quit at halftime.
Retire.
Have you ever seen anything like that?
No.
That was a good line.
I was once fucking this chick.
It's only in Buffalo.
Right in the middle, I stopped and said, I got to go. But other than that, no, I've never seen anything like that.
You're pulling I pulled my hamstring. I got to get out of here so quick.
I got to retire.
That was weird, and we don't know what's going through the guy's head. But then he issues a statement saying, "There's nothing wrong with my head. I just didn't want to play anymore." Then you're an asshole because you let your teammates down. You couldn't fucking wait 2 more hours.
I know.
Kyle Williams, did you see him?
No.
Talking about it just in the locker room. He's like, he quit. He left, and he's like, he's exactly where he needs to be. And he goes, "Oh, is there something? He's dealing with family." He goes, "No, he's exactly where he needs to be, not here."
Oh wow!
So, yeah, he said it flat out.
Yeah. A lot of these, there's a lot of pride, and that was just disgusting.
Phil, think about just in high school if somebody.
Oh my God! I had a kid walk off the football field.
Yeah.
In the middle of practice, we were doing team drills. I'll never forget it. So we ran this play like 6 times, Aldo. So the 6th time he fucks it up, I go, get your ass on the fucking bench. And I brought the JV fucking kid in to run the play, to give my quarterback a rep. Right? The JV kid obviously isn't the athlete this kid is, but does it right. We get the rep. The kid gets the understanding. This kid thinks so highly of himself. He fucking takes off his pad. I could see it out of the corner of my eye. He's taking off his pads now and walking towards the locker room, which is, mind you, about 3 city blocks away from where we are in the practice field. I'm like, this isn't, I'm not coming to chase you. You're fucking done. And that was it for me. And all the team knew. You fucking quit. I don't even want to deal with you if you can't. You don't have the mental toughness 6 times messing it up, then you'll never play here. I don't care how fucking talented you are. So to Shane's point, I agree. Like, send the fucking message. It's worth the money that you're already fucking spending that money. Send it to the whole team. You're benched. You're benched. And Daniel Brown, Broniker, and fucking bring up a tight end from the practice squad if you need another guy. Is there another? Yeah, there's fucking, what am I doing? Burton. You got 3. You're good. And run it like that.
You'd rather see Burton in the lineup than Sims?
No, Trey Burton. I'm talking about. No, Trey.
But
not Michael Burton.
But I'm saying,
you know what?
They're going to need a blocking.
I will say this.
Okay.
This fucking cat. Michael Burton will try. And if I had to choose between someone with talent, big for nothing, I would call that gives you fucking nothing, I would choose the try hard guy, because they're liable to fucking accidentally trip and make a fucking block that you want. And if you're just not trying, you ain't getting shit. So maybe you'll get something. So I would choose Mike Burton over somebody loafing like that. Hell yeah. To answer you truthfully.
That's wild, man. I never would have thought that to hear you say that.
I just think, to Shane's point, you're a young coach, Aldo. I know we talk a lot, but it's true. What's that? Shane sped up.
Fucker was beating his dog earlier. Now he's.
Oh, that's a cat. The cat did meow. Did you hear it? So I had to grab it from the back hind.
It's a whiny little pussy. It's a whiny little pussy. Welcome, Matt Bosley, to the show, folks.
All right, we move on. Hold on a second. Let me do this. Okay, hold on. All right, there you go. Let me fade it in.
Radio. A bear up, a bear down. It's Draft Dr. Phil and the smartest man around. A bear up.
All right, we now move to the bear up portion of the show, and it's Draft Dr. Phil to present his player that he thought. Wait a minute, we haven't done bear up yet. Brain fart on my part.
I was just gonna say, look at this professional.
Bear down.
Look at this professional fading in, giving it.
Brain
then
fart.
He's like, don't worry, I had one too. I still can't remember that fucking question, Sandy. Weeks fucking later.
2 weeks later. All right, Phil, who was the one player on your list of several players, I'm sure, that had a game worthy of mention?
There was so many good things on tape. Even Mitch. And truthfully, though, if I'm going first, I'm pulling the ace card. And I have to win at anything I do. I'm a competitive guy. And Khalil Mack, to me, 2 weeks in a row. The things that he does on a football field are again, what a coach would dream of, being able to coach somebody who's not only athletically talented, but so strong and has the, to use Shane's term, hair on fire every fucking play. He's fucking hustling. And guys, Shane has said this, and I totally agree with it, Shane. We got amped up for Pernell McPhee and that dog, and that guy was running with a fucking loose screw in his leg. This guy is an Adonis playing outside linebacker for the Chicago Bears at an elite, like the best player in football level. To watch it and to ask me to say, who's your Bear up? It's a layup. It's a freaking unbelievable display of football. We are so lucky. I give 2 shits about the 2 draft picks. And to Finley's point, Greg Gabriel said it in a tweet, and people were not understanding. It's like you swapped your first for a early second now because you got that second back. So the talent that he has, it's like playing the lottery with money you've already won from the lottery. Is that stupid to try to find him again?
Somebody tweeted out John Gruden had a winning lottery ticket and he sold it for money to buy more lottery tickets to see if he could win.
Somebody listened to me talking to this guy at the gym the other day. I said the exact same thing. This random guy, again, I wear Bears gear to the gym or whatever. You guys, I can't believe my Dolphins were in on it. I was so pumped. Then all of a sudden the Bears got him. And then I see him, Hispanic kid, and he's like, you guys stole him and got a second back. He's like, he's unbelievable. I go, you know what it's like? The Raiders played the lottery. They won the lottery. They got what they wanted. And then they decided to cash it in and buy more lottery tickets to try to win again. And it's. Do you know how lucky we are? I know we were fired up that day, Aldo.
Right.
Just watching it play out, every fucking thing we said and then some has come to fruition. So Khalil Mack, unless Shane, you had another point to add, I'm sorry.
No, I was just going to say one thing to not forget about. It's not going to be the 2019 draft, but 2020 when they have those 2-2s. It's pretty easy to move back up into the first round when you have 2 second-rounders.
Exactly. So. Get that guard you're looking for.
I love it. You can't get in the top 5.
Khalil Mack, my Bear up of week 2.
Well done. Shane, give me a Bear up player. I know you had a backup in case Phil took Khalil Mack. Who's your guy?
Well, mine's the NFC Defensive Player of the Week.
There you go.
Number 59.
Nice.
You know, watching back, Danny Trevathan impressed the hell out of me in that game. He really did. I think he looks. You know, Vic alluded to it back when they opened camp, saying that he finally got the off season where he could participate. He wasn't coming off surgery. He was healthy, and I think you see that now. I think it's bearing fruit for the team. He looked explosive. I mean, he wasn't just hitting guys; he was knocking the ball free, and you didn't see that from Danny before. You'd see him make the big hits, but he was going after the ball. And Khalil Mack alluded to that. Von Miller was on Rich Eisen's show talking about the Clay Matthews hit and what he thought about it. And he goes, you have to revamp your game. Instead of playing the quarterback and going after the quarterback, you just have to play the ball. Go for the ball. That's the most important piece. And Khalil Mack goes, yeah, it is. He goes, the ball means everything. Go for the ball. And, these defenders hear Mack say that, and Danny Trevathan hears that. So, I mean, you see it.
Great point, Shane.
You see it coming onto the field, and And Phil talked about it on BHL, and I think it's a very underrated point, and I'll repeat it. Danny Trevathan looked more at ease this week with Roquan as his inside mate than he did with Kwiatkowski, because, and this isn't a slight at 44 at Kwiatkowski. He's a good player, and he played well. Mm-hmm. Kwiatkowski played well,
exactly.
And I think it's because, I mean, everybody knows that when they brought in Roquan, that it was only a matter of time that he was going to be there. But Danny sees that. It makes Danny's job easier, and I think Nick is exactly where he needs to be in the spot duty. I mean, Phil Kwiatkowski came in and fucking rocked some guys.
Yeah, I mentioned it. I was like, this motherfucker's pissed.
Yeah,
you got Shane, we have competition at positions. Look at fucking Bilal Nichols.
Yeah.
Look at fucking Bilal Nichols.
He wasn't dressed week one. What a fucking mistake.
Did we fucking not say it on this show, Aldo? Mm-hmm. That it was a disappointment that Bilal Nichols wasn't in Green Bay. Mm-hmm. Look what he's lighting a fire. This fucking Jonathan Bullard
pushing guards into the quarterback.
I never saw him fucking extend his arms out of and make a fucking play in the back. He's always beating the snap count, beating and making a play. No, he's physical. He looked like a different fucking guy. If you guys don't see it yet, the tape doesn't lie. These guys are playing with a fucking attitude. And to Shane's fucking point, if Khalil Mack, LT was doing that shit. Richard Dent was doing that shit in their fucking sleep, chopping at that football because they understood. Get that fucking ball out. It was over and get it out. Better you get a sack anyway. Stop worrying about the stat. Get the ball.
You saw Khalil Mack do that.
Exactly.
He just reached back.
He almost had another one, Shane, on the Goldman. I think you even said it, texted it to me.
Yeah.
He was this close, an inch close. Fuck the safety. He was about to rip that shit out again.
Yeah.
And they would have another touchdown. He still probably wouldn't have got Defensive Player of the Week. But he's so impactful emotionally, mentally. Everybody's flying around. So as much as I want to say about Mitch and everything of the offense, this defense is giving you the luxury to do some of these risky things in throwing the football, but you can't always depend on that. So that's important. But Danny Trevathan, honestly, was fucking all over the place. He was playing with his hair on fire. And to Shane's point, yes, Kwiatkowski looked more comfortable in the role of having an opportunity. They put him out there. It was him and the rookie together on several snaps, too. It wasn't Danny Trevathan and Kwiatkowski.
And Phil, we're not even talking about Iggy yet. Well, no, Roquan, but we're not even talking about Iggy yet, who's dressed.
Oh my God.
But, this is the difference, and I talked about it earlier. You see depth in this team where we haven't seen it before. You're talking about a Bilal Nichols, didn't even dress last week, which, yes, was a mistake. He's going to dress this week versus Arizona. If for some strange reason they don't, that's sending the wrong message to the player and to the entire team. That kid balled out.
Oh, he did. There was one play, Shane, I didn't get to fucking put it up, where Wilson scrambles out of the pocket to the right, and this fucking dude is giving chase, and I had to rewind back and be like,
make sure that it was Nichols. Yeah,
it was fucking Nichols. It's fucking Nichols. I go, holy fuck. Look at this effort out of this 328-pound man. If you're getting that on top of what you're getting interiorly, because a lot of, Goldman doesn't get the credit. Goldman is number 2 on my list here. I know Danny and whatever. Goldman did some fucking things to their whole blocking scheme. He plays. This awesome. Defense is special, guys. If they continue to play with this kind of confidence,
Phil,
I don't know.
Talking about Nichols.
Go back.
Look what it did. Look what it did. Look what it's done
Bullard.
to Bullard.
Exactly. And that's what we've talked about it for 4 years on this show, about competition breeding success, that these coaches didn't build it.
We are playing the closing music. It's time for shout-outs. We could talk all night long. It's already Friday on the East Coast. We're taping here on Thursday night. It is 11:10 p.m. in Chicago, 12:10 in the East Coast. I know Shane has business at the very wee hours of the morning, so we got to get him into bed. I know that Phil has his cat to deal with. He's got pussy problems.
I hope she's awake when I go upstairs.
Yeah, my cat's in fucking Czech Republic, so put my hands free.
Let me have some shout outs. Phil, let's start with you, sir.
Oh, I got to shout out Ryan K_B at Ryan KB34, Nate Giovanone. I gotta get that right. At Giovanone with an N. Bobby Phelan, Lil Nicky, Brad Chambers at Brad0601. These guys have been tremendous, and Double A has been doing a great job on the Tailgate Show, just standing up for Bears Bar, standing up for the truth. I gotta get Ashley O'Malley's. I call her Ashley O'Malley all the time. She's so pissed at me, but it's Smashly Bear at Smashly Bear. I had to make sure that I gave her a shout out because I totally fucked that up last week by calling her Ashley O'Malley. I pulled it on Aldo Gandia. I also want to shout out friend of my barroom writer, Brett Maley. I was listening back to that show, and I just thought, not only was he tremendous, but it was so creative to have him on the show, but he's really stepped up his Twitter game. He's more active on Twitter, and it's a good thing.
Yep.
I also want to shout out Badge at Ryan Badgley. Another guy standing up for Bears Bar, purchasing the swag. He's part of the Tailgate Show now, apparently, too. I love that little segment. I don't know who came up with it. Maybe the smartest man or the super producer. Badge of honor. It was great stuff coming at you Sunday. Right, Aldo? The Tailgate Show?
That was Bobby. Bobby and his crew came up with that idea.
Oh, that was a great idea. I love that.
Excellent.
I also have to shout out Emery Hunt for coming on the show on Bears Hour Live. I thought he was tremendous. Bearlissimo over across the pond with my boy Sandy Tom across the pond. And I missed a story and a shout out a while back, and I owe this person an apology. At J. Bradley Media, John Bradley, friend of the show, across the pond as well, had a little baby barfly, and this guy's an avid listener. He said I could share it on the show. I just want to congratulate you, John, and your beautiful wife for the new addition to the family, and I appreciate you sending me that nice note that you did in the DM. That meant a lot to me. And my last shout out this week, because I'm sure I missed a few, but I will get to them as well in the next show, Aldo, as you know, real quick. My last shout out is to Ed Yakaki III at Stage 4 Thriver on Twitter. Ed has gone, I don't know if you know the story, Ed has gone through several surgeries and battles and bouts with cancer. And as we move to Cancer Awareness Month and what have you, just everybody, I think, has been hit by this deadly, if terrible disease in this country and worldwide. And Ed, the fighter that you are and the person that you are, as well as also thank you for your kind words too. I was hoping, Aldo, to have Ed on Bears Hour Live for a segment of the show to talk about his passion of the Bears as well as his feelings, because he's not afraid to even step in the arena with me and the smartest man sometimes and debate. So, Ed, I'm on the air, the number one Bears podcast in the world, inviting you to come on the show and give me a segment, or it could be on Bears Hour Live. I just really love his story, and I love the man. I know he was at the Green Bay game and had to deal with the disappointment of that loss. He was in Lambeau, and to see this team be what it is, meant so much to Ed. So that's my last shout out, and I can't wait to see what they do this weekend.
Nicely said. I want to turn it over to Shane. I know he always has a very long list of shout-outs, so I'm going to re-rack the music. Go ahead, Shane.
I'm going to shout out our guest, Pat Finley, coming on with us, talking some football. I enjoyed the interview. Like I said, he didn't back down to any of our questions and just give stock bullshit answers. He went in depth, and really that's what we're all about here. So I want to give him some credit for doing that. Shootout. Jesus, can't talk. It's getting too late. Talked with Trey a little bit last night, and he's getting ramped up to get everything started on his show. So I want to wish him good luck, and we talked a little bit just about how we've had, people directly affected in our life, friends, family members. And I just, reiterated with him that it's really, really important what he's doing. My best friend growing up passed away in 2005, and it was about 4 months before he died. His sister had a baby, Keegan, and Keegan was battling some demons, and at 16 years old last year, he killed himself at his house with his father there, surrounded by friends from school. He had some mental issues that he just couldn't get over, and he killed himself. And his father is currently Keegan had always had a fascination with Alaska, the state of Alaska, always wanted to go there, visit there. And his father currently is boating across America. He's going state to state by boat, and where he can't boat, he's got volunteers pulling his boat out of the water and taking him to the next port so he can go. And he's carrying Keegan's ashes with him the entire way.
Wow.
Spread them when he finally shows up in Alaska. So I was talking to Trey about that, and gonna see if I can talk to Jeremy when he gets back, and then maybe get him on Trey's show just to bring some more awareness to the situation, because unfortunately, Phil was talking about Cancer Awareness Month. Shouldn't just be a month, when you're talking about suicide and depression, and it's an everyday thing. Just can be as simple as listening. You don't even have to use words, just picking up the phone, even in texting, as long as the people know that they're there. So I know I shouted out Trey last week, but just want to do it again this week, because I think what he's willing to do and putting himself out there, he can be that, be that guy, be that, beacon of light for a lot of people in dark times. And like I said, I shared the story with Keegan and his dad, Jeremy, the whole family, what they're going through. And just like I said, props to props to you too, Aldo, for letting the bar room be the host of all this, and you working behind the scenes and helping Trey get everything kicked off. So it's a testament to you too, my friend.
Thank you very much. I appreciate that. And I just want to say, I got a few shout outs too, but I also want to say that there's a certain gadfly on Twitter who tweeted out that sometimes suicide is okay. And you are welcome to come on to Trey's show and share your problems, because clearly you are mistaken. And suicide is never okay. There are people who are sick who sometimes want to take their lives. That's a different story. But if you are having some mental health issues and you're considering suicide, no, there are answers. There is help. There's medication. There's talk therapy. There's all sorts of things that can be done to help. And Trey's new show, which he has decided on a title, it's called Let's Talk It Out, is going to do just that. So anybody out there who needs to talk it out, we're going to have a vehicle here at the Bears Ballroom Radio Network led by Trey Busy to do just that. I also want to give a shout out to CJ. CJ was my waiter and bartender over at Chili's the other day. He saw me wearing my Bears Ballroom hat. He comes over to me and says, "Man, the Bears this, the Bears that." This guy knew his football. It was a joy talking to him. He is now a loyal barfly, listening to us regularly. I also want to shout out Bears Girl for doing all the arrangements of tonight's show, for getting us Patrick Finley. She's our coordinating producer. She books all our guests, and she does a great job with that, and we wish her well also. She's been under the weather, so hopefully that will happen. Paige DeMarcos was on the Buffon 55 show.
Oh, yes. That was awesome.
Yep, and she talked about her brother
told her.
coming through fine from some issues with
cancer.
his health. Yes, he's been staging the good fight, and so finally some good news from him. And also I want to shout out Curtis, and I'm going to mispronounce your last name, Curtis, Hamende, Hamende. You can find Curtis at Curtis, Hamende. He did the drawing of Patrick Mahomes holding up the 6 for touchdowns and Nagy and Trubisky looking over enviously for an article that I wrote. Curtis approached us about doing some artwork for Bears Barroom. He is such a fan of what we do. He thinks Bears 100 Proof is one of the best shows out there, if not the best. He says he laughs.
Well, he's fucking smart, too, this guy.
Yeah, he's a 38-year-old father of 3. He lives out in Wateseca, a small town just south of Bourbonnais. He went to school at the Illinois Institute of Art, but now he drives a truck in and around Chicago, and he draws for fun, and he's a big fan of the Chicago Bears. He remembers the 85 Bears. His favorite player is Walter Payton, and he reached out to us saying, "Hey, I can draw a little bit," and Bears Girl and I took a look at his work, and we like, yeah, we want your stuff, and he did a really wonderful job. So he's available to you, Phil, if you got an idea of something you want him to draw, and same thing with you, Shane. He would love to help out and show his artistic talents and help us get across our love of the Bears and our messages about the Bears in a visual sense. So
I have a challenge for him.
Oh, cool.
Because that's the coach in me. I want a tape doesn't lie. I don't care what you have, movie projector, I don't know, graphic painting. So I could put that in a graphic. That would be cool if he came up. Whatever. What was his name again?
Curtis.
See, Curtis. So Curtis, whatever you see in regards to the tape not lying, as you know, I say that all the time on this show with a bunch of other things, and Aldo says his things and Shane says his, but if you could come up with some sort of picture for that, I will use it, and that'll be my go-to on that. That'll be awesome.
Awesome. Curtis, I'm sure, is up to the challenge, and one of the things that I always say is, if you drink, please do not drive, and always bear down.
Can I make a request?
Sure.
Real quick.
Can we go out to one of my favorite Draft Dr. Phil songs ever. I'm reading someone's email.
Sure. What you got?
They would like to hear Blog Star.
Hey yo, Bobby just told me this
Look at this orange
that went home. For 15 years he's blogged on the page. He's a bougie little bitch with a fake soy sauce and shit. He makes money off sheep, but who cares? Yo, well, the ball flies know it and they ain't afraid to show it. Gotta speak the truth, or you might as well blow it. Don't make sense to smash your team. Your steak and whiskey ends in wet dreams. You're just a fraud, you're just a fake, and it shows with your shitty ass tape. Never paid to go on a show. Got called out by Greg Gabriel. Hey now, you're a blog star. That's what you say, so you say you get paid. Hey now, Mr. Blogstar, you got the sources on some shitty takes. All we ask you to do
just come on 100 proof.
Is come on 100 proof, but no one's gay. Yeah.
Just come on 100 proof.
Yo, he says the blog is growing, no truth he's showing. That he don't know the blog, he knows no peace blowing. Talks to execs and sources daily, but they're just the same as you and me. He won't come on, he thinks he's great. Go on 100 proof and have a debate. He never paid to go on a show. Not smart to call out Aldo. Hey now, Mr. Blogstar, thanks for game on, never get late. Hey now, Mr. Blogstar, we'll pull the curtain on the little charade. All we want you to do is come on 100 proof, but someone is gay. Yeah.
Just come on 100 proof.
Surprise, motherfucker. He knows better. What GM would be talking to the blog? I want to know.
Phil, next thing you know, he's blaming Canada.
Hey now, he's the blog star. Gets his game on, he gets paid. Hey now, Mr. Blogstar, the call room is coming for you.
All right, guys. Bye-bye.
Later.